Scotland. Okay.
Morning, Steve.
Morning. How are you, Hannah?
It's actually Joy. I'm good.
Oh, excuse me.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Do we have volume? Does everyone have volume on us?
Yep.
Good. Awesome. All right, perfect. All right, Judy. So give us one moment. We had some technical difficulty launching up today, so we're going to get everything situated in just 1 second.
They must all be muted, right?
Okay. All right, if everyone's ready, we're going to get started then. I'm going to introduce myself first. My name is Anthony DeZuzio. I am the Market Center Tech Trainer with KW North Central out of Leominster, Bolton, and Westminster. I've been in the industry for 5 years, going on 6 now. I've been a solo agent and recently joined a team as well. So I have 2 roles. I am the Market Center Tech Trainer, as I said, but I'm also a listing agent on Pelletier Properties.
Awesome.
Judy?
And my name's Judy Scotland here at Keller Williams North Central. And I am the coach and mentor for the Market Center. I've also been a realtor since 1983. So I have just a little bit of time under my belt and happy to help new agents learn. So that's why I do what I do.
Perfect. And please note that we also have Steve DeAngelis on the call. He's a Market Center Tech Trainer for Market Centers 184 and 700. So he'll be helping you with resources, anything you need. Hey, Steve.
Good morning.
I think you're muted.
No, I'm not.
Perfect. All right.
Can everyone hear me? Just stick your thumb up if it's yes.
We can't hear him.
They all got him. All right. Okay, so I'm going to share up our resources today. If you're following along in your student manual, this should follow exactly with it. Oh, sorry. All right, perfect. Here we go. We're going to start off today's session. We're talking about session 2, marketing in the elemental section of Ignite. So let's kick it off with this.
So first of all, what they want you to be able to do after this session is know the difference between marketing and prospecting, examine different methods of marketing and identify the characteristics, pros and cons and use cases. Create a piece of marketing material using designs in command. And I got to tell you, we have a really special person helping us do that because Anthony is really great with command. So we'll enjoy that a lot, I'm sure.
Perfect. So when we focus on today, we're always going to talk about the difference between growing our business and running our business. And so first off, we're always lead generating. We're always lead generating every day. And then there's the part in which we run our business, which we'll focus on more today in marketing seller listings and marketing our business in itself. And you've already covered most of this in your Spark session, understand lead generation model. So I don't have to talk about that too much today, but it is important to know we should always be doing that.
Yep, that's absolutely right. Can anybody tell us what is marketing? Does anybody want to raise their hand?
I've got a comment from one person. They can barely hear you.
Audio?
Yeah.
How about this? How's that audio?
That's fine.
That's
Joy,
perfect.
can you hear them?
Oh, yeah, now we can hear you guys.
Better? Perfect. All right.
Good.
The fancy microphone wasn't doing it today, so we'll get rid of this big guy.
Go back, we're gonna go old school today. So does anybody want to summarize what they believe marketing is?
It's the outside promotion of your business
I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
through planned objectives.
Okay. Anyone else have what they'd call marketing? There's one word I'll probably wait for or look for. What would differentiate? It's a differentiation between marketing and prospecting. So how would those differentiate?
Prospecting is personal.
Personal, yep.
Brand
One-on-one.
awareness?
Brand awareness is part of marketing.
Yep.
What else? These are all
Marketing is more passive.
passive.
Yes,
That's the word
that's
I
it.
wanted, passive. You don't have to be doing it actively all the time for it to be working.
And money intensive, right?
Yep.
That's what we forget, that it's money intensive. So make sure if you're going to do marketing, and you all should grow towards that you are very aware of where you're spending your money and what the return on that investment is.
Mm-hmm. So it's exactly what we want to get into next, is talking about the difference between marketing and prospecting. And that's exactly some of the things we just talked about. So it's money intensive. Marketing is passive. It's also long-term. That's a huge difference to take part in what we're doing in prospecting, when we're doing dialing, driving for dollars, different type of lead gen systems that you might put into place in your business. They're going to be proactive, time intensive, and they're going to be immediate. So you need to couple these things together is really what you want to look for. You want to have a nice balance.
Yeah, because if you do all prospecting, you're never going to grow
Well, scale.
your
Scale-
business.
scale is a big
Correct,
thing with that.
exactly. And prospecting is very time consuming. So you guys, a combination of both is really the best way to go. Absolutely.
So marketing is how we can kind of get some leverage.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's moving on to think deeply in our marketing. So we're going to look at some use cases and looking at specific marketing and pros and cons of each. And this is a huge chart, but I just kind of want to look at the right side first in marketing. And so we have offline advertising, and you'll see things like radio, TV, newspapers, some older versions of how to do things. Some things I still see agents doing successfully, actually, when you start talking about grocery carts, moving vans. I see a few agents in our market that are doing those.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have online advertising with most of us, I think that's the first thing we think of with marketing. We
Right.
think social media, SEO, pay-per-click advertising, especially when it comes to command, Facebook,
Yes,
things like that.
absolutely.
And then we have broadcast content, creation content, and radio, TV, live, social media, videos, and blogs.
Yep.
Then we have direct mail, promotional items and swag, public relations, press, and sponsorship. So that's what we're going to talk about when we talk about marketing.
So what do you think you guys are mostly doing right now? Are you doing mostly prospecting? And if you are, what are the different prospecting methods that you're using? Nobody?
No one's using any marketing or prospecting? Let's talk about prospecting first.
Yeah, I think we should a little bit, because, you know, as we said, that's very cost effective. And it's the first thing that we teach you. The first thing that we taught you in Ignite was about your 10-4s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And make your 10 contacts per day, put your 10 contacts into your database, and send out 10 personal notes. That's the beginnings of prospecting. How many of you guys have embraced that and are actually doing that?
So we have a comment, knocking on doors.
Knocking on
Yep,
doors,
that's
absolutely
definitely active,
prospecting.
proactive.
Yep. Does anybody do open houses?
Michael, okay.
So in my mind, one of the first things I usually tell my new agents is, when you do an open house, if you do them correctly, and you guys are going to have a whole class on that in a couple of days, I think, you're doing both prospecting and marketing. And so it is one of the most effective things that you guys can do, especially if you circle prospect around your listings or around the open house that you're going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Is anybody doing that?
So I think a good way to say that is, if you're doing open house as you're prospecting, how are you coupling that with marketing? And is anyone coupling it with marketing?
Right.
And mind us, we can't see all your faces. So if you're raising your hands or doing anything.
Yeah, so just pipe in and holler at us.
I'm actually hosting one this Sunday.
Okay.
So right now
Awesome.
I'm like going through command, trying to get a design so I could post that on social media.
Awesome.
I'm gonna go there today and kind of look around. And then I'll get signs and kind of try to advertise it on social media and then to other people I know.
When we get into our demo session, our demo part of this session, I'll probably pick on you a little bit, Vanessa, so don't take it to heart. But we will look at things in command as far as social media and using those marketing pieces. So I might pick on you a little bit, but don't.
That's
So
fine.
when you're in the neighborhood today, there's a few things that you can do. If you have a sign writer that says what day and times, we always put a sign writer on our open houses the week before. And so what we'll do is we'll say open Sunday from 11 to 1, and we'll put that right on the for sale sign at the property so that people driving by are going to know it's going to be open. Start looking where you want to put your arrows, your directional arrows. And guys, if you're going to make open houses one of your main lead generating tools, get yourself some arrows that are branded to you so that when you put them out, people just assume that you are a busy agent. I had one couple say to me before, or not one couple, several people have said to me before, oh my God, you've got this whole town wrapped up. You have signs everywhere. Well, they're not paying attention to the fact that a lot of those signs aren't for sale signs, they're arrows leading to the property. So just getting your face out there or your logo, whatever you're going to use to brand yourself, is going to start giving you recognition where you work. So do it early and do it consistently and put it in a lot of different places. Like in the open house class, we recommend that you do between 10 and 15 arrows going to the property.
Yep, it's definitely great advice. And so when it comes to these things, we have one person who said they're doing prospecting with open houses. How do we think is the best approach to prospecting? Do we think it's probably best to select several methods or try one? Or is a method that we think is best to follow out of all these that you see on the left of prospecting?
Anybody have a favorite way of prospecting?
Or maybe if you're new, something that you circled and said, this is where I want to start of all those options?
Contacting my sphere.
Here, yep. That's probably the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So by contacting your sphere, when you contact your sphere, do you have a basic script that you're using?
A what script?
A script that you're using when you contact your sphere?
Well, I mean, being a new agent, most of it is just calling them, starting off with what they know me from, where they know me from, and then the new to real estate script.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a great script. It really is. And I love the people that you're calling. They already love and trust you if they're in your sphere. And so when you start asking them to help you grow your business, there's going to be very few of them that are going to give you a negative response to that. They're going to help you. So, but you got to ask.
Yeah.
I like to tell the story about Bold. And I was in a Bold, and if you've ever been to Bold, any of you, if you haven't been, I recommend you go. And if you have been, you know that the first thing they do is make you get on the phone and call people for 5 or 10 minutes. And they don't care who you call, but they have the script and they want you to ask people if they know anyone who's interested in buying or selling or investing in real estate. Well, my sister helps me out with some admin work. And so I wasn't really prepared in my first Bold. I wasn't really prepared for that exercise. So I started with my comfort zone and I gave her a call and I said, who do you know? Blah, blah, blah. And she gave me 5 names. And I said, are you kidding me? I work with you every single day. You never gave me those names before. And she said, you never asked. And so I took that as a lifelong lesson that after all these years, I forgot to ask the people closest to me to help me.
And the people in real estate.
And the people that were actually in
They
real
understood
estate.
what you were doing. Yeah.
Exactly. So if they're not giving me leads unless I ask them, then guess who else isn't? Nobody.
Yeah, no one. Because they don't think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because not everyone thinks the way we think of transferring. Oh,
Right.
that happens, I should go and tell Judy.
Yes,
And
exactly.
so that's part of our job too, is to get them accustomed to the fact that this is what we do for a living.
Yeah.
And the way I run my business is I kind of need your help.
Yep,
Yep,
absolutely.
perfect. So that talks about sphere. We talked about open houses. I would say, personal opinion, is get really comfortable in small amount. Don't look at this list and try and do every piece of prospecting because you're not going to get any good at any of them.
Mhm.
And so I think that's a great foundation. They talk about that pretty much everywhere in KW. Prospecting with your database and your sphere is the foundation. And then we couple that with marketing, which we're going to get into today.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I usually tell new agents, start by doing your 10-4s. And if you're not going to do 10-4s, do 5. And if you're not going to do 5, do 2. And then couple that with some other thing that you're doing. So you really only need to be doing a couple of things. I'm going to do open houses every single weekend, and I'm going to do them in a really purposeful way. And I'm going to lead generate with my sphere, with my 10-4s. And I'm going to make that really work for me. If you just do those couple of things, you're going to grow your business and you're going to grow it quickly. You won't even believe how quickly it is if you say the right things and you do the right things.
Exactly.
So you don't have to do 15 different things because that's just confusing and it's makes you scattered.
Perfect. All right. Do we want to do a little mastermind on marketing?
Yes.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
And does anyone want us to talk about this right here? Everything we're looking at on this chart? Anyone have questions? We all look good. All right.
So you guys, we rely on you to give us energy. So we love your interaction and we want you to just shout right out and interrupt us if you have something to say. We're happy to hear it.
All right, so we're going to spend a little bit of time on this and we're going to go through each of these questions. And we want to kind of have a couple minutes on each question. So please participate in that definitely. So starting off, how do we know where the customer is and how do you meet them there? So how do we meet them where they are currently?
Ask them.
Ask them. Yep. That's definitely it. That can be a script. And so actually, let's go deeper in that. How do you ask them? What are we asking? What's the questions?
You know, what I usually do LP Mama. What location are you using? What price point would you be the most comfortable in? Have you obtained a mortgage or will you be paying cash for that? Have you been working with any other agents? Tell me a little more about why you're moving. And that all sounds exactly like why we should get together and have an appointment.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. That's great advice. And have you guys gotten to the sections in Ignite yet where they offer you the buyer and seller lead sheets? If you haven't.
I see a couple shaking head no's.
No's, okay. So you're gonna find, and if you look in your tools section, there's buyer lead sheets and seller lead sheets. I call them information sheets, really. And I have a stack of those in my office of each type. And whenever I'm getting a call or making a call and somebody's interested, they indicate that they are somewhat interested in buying or selling, I start asking questions from those lead sheets. And my goal is to not let them know that I have a lead sheet, but to get all the answers to those questions on that lead sheet before I hang up with them. That way I can find out what their motivation is, and that's the best way to help them.
Yeah.
Does anybody else?
I actually have a way I think of this. I think of this question a little differently, and it's because of one word. It's customer.
Yeah.
Not client.
Right.
And when we're talking about real estate generally in our positions, we're talking about getting people into houses, selling a house, and we jump to that right there. Like that's where we live all the time. And marketing isn't always right there. Marketing is the person who bought their house 2 years ago and is not thinking of selling.
That's right.
And so when I think of how do you know where the customer is and how do you meet them there, they own houses.
Right.
And so how are we taking value in what we do and bringing that to them? And then being homeowners. And so when we think about marketing, there's a lot of avenues we can take. It's almost endless, but most people own homes and we know listings are leverage. So that's one place we can target right away. And then what do homeowners do? Pretty much anything. They're just people. And so my case with marketing and most of the conversations I've had with people have been around, what are you interested in? And how do you make that part of your business?
Right. And I'd like to expand on that even a little bit more. When you say most people are homeowners, most people are homeowners and the rest of them want to own one.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so there's some things that we can start thinking about in our messaging of marketing and what are we bringing for value. So we can think about homeownership as something that we can talk about in our marketing and then all the things that come along with that.
Yep.
Yep.
Are you raising your hand, someone?
Or just stretching.
All right, how about the next question? How do you communicate your value proposition?
If we could just go back for a second.
Yeah.
I put the buyer lead sheet information and the open house job aid information in the chat. So if you don't have if you haven't downloaded the toolkits, it's right there in the chat. Feel free to take it.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Now you can go on.
Thank you.
All right. So how do we communicate our value proposition? Does anyone have a value proposition that they worked out or at least started thinking about?
So think about it this way. What is your elevator speech? Start with that. Or if you haven't thought that through yet, when someone says to you, what do you do for a living? What do you say? Right? So that's how we begin to build our value.
and let other people see our value. So what do you guys say? Do you guys have an elevator speech?
For everyone that says no, I think that's step one. Because if you don't know what the value prop is or the elevator speech is, we don't really have a reason to know how to communicate it,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to start there. And so I think communicating your value proposition, you kind of have to enter that into each stage. And you start it with marketing because that's the passive one, and you keep that messaging throughout everything you do. I've seen this agents do it with taglines.
Absolutely.
You know, they do it with very different things and just the way they approach their business. And we have tons of different types of people in KW, and we have investor agents, we have first-time home buyer agents, and I think their messaging carries in their avenue, and it's very specific, and they've kind of narrowed that field down.
Yeah, so if you guys are gonna start building your brand, what you have to think about is, what do I want to be known for? Who am I going to help? And how am I going to help them? And what strengths do I have that will help them? And what do I bring to the table that will make them want to work with me? So if you don't have the answers to those questions yet, you really need to, it's the beginning. It's the beginning of building your brand. And you honestly can't build your brand unless you know who you're going to help and how you're going to do it.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
can we slow down on this? Because this comes up every session, pretty much, our value statement. And it's, and everybody sort of goes through it the way, you know, in different ways of saying the same thing that you've said. But can we workshop this for a second? Can you give us those
Sure.
questions and let us sort of, all of us that are sitting here, kind of break it down for ourselves a little bit? Because, you know, the whole fire hose information thing, like, I think it would behoove us, because we're all sort of sitting there like, I know I am, like, you know, I know what it is. I've thought about it, but I haven't really sat down and started to work it out on a piece of paper. So you just gave some questions. I grabbed my pad and I missed the questions.
Oh gosh, I hope I can remember them. The first one is, who do I want to work with? Who am I going to work with? What's my specialty going to be? Why would they choose me? What do I bring to the table?
Why don't we just give them a couple minutes to pick who, and then we'll move on to why.
Well, I was thinking that we should give them a couple of questions and let them ponder that and come back and tell us. So what are my strong points?
I just wanted to share very quickly, if I could. Someone put this in a previous session, made it short and sweet, threw it in chat for us to copy and go by for his value prop. You know how buying or selling a home can be a challenging or stressful experience? Well, what I do is partner with my clients to educate and guide them through that complex process to help them achieve their real estate goals in a more enjoyable and less stressful way. In fact, I back it up with satisfaction guaranteed. And I copy that. You know, just as an outline, make it short and sweet. It does get to the point. I will ultimately make it my own, but I appreciated the fact that he put that on there.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, we have one, and I hope I can remember it all right this second. It's a little early in the morning, but ours goes something like, we help our buyers and sellers save thousands of dollars by negotiating and offering them skills that they can't find elsewhere. And it goes into a little more detail than that, but your tagline should really catch people. I mean, you don't want to just say that, you know, we sell houses, or we're a buyer's agent. We want to say, why is that important to them? Well, we help our buyers and sellers save thousands of dollars. And then we go into a little bit of detail on how we do that. So those are the kind of things that you're looking to begin to build your value proposition.
Yeah, and so Laura put in the chat, I help people find home, and she caps home. And so I'm just riffing right now, so don't put too much pressure on me. But when I look at that, if that's going to be your value proposition, there's a lot of marketing ideas that just pop up for me. And what is home? What do you mean by that? And so that's something that you can, how you deliver your message can be very important.
And also, how do you do that?
Yeah, and so if I'm gonna be difficult on Laura, what separates you from every other realtor that helps someone find home?
Right.
Because we all find people, we help people find homes. That's in this kind of like the basic part of our job. But how do you make that very meaningful with the word home? Because I feel like she's emphasizing it for a reason.
Right.
And that's how you can start thinking about how you're doing messaging and marketing. And
Yeah.
what does that actually mean? And when they look at Laura, they think home and they think something completely different when I say, I'm going to sell your house or I'm going to help you buy a house. There's like,
Yeah, it
there's,
gives you a good
there's-
tagline to go
there's-
out to lots of other ways.
Yep. And there has to be
Yeah.
emotion behind that. That's the first thing I pull out of,
Right.
of reading that from her.
My
Yep.
specific thought on that one was actually gearing towards veterans, right? Which is one of my specialties. And
Awesome.
and so home to them, my husband's a 3-time Iraq deployed vet. And so so home means so much, right? And to them.
Right.
So that's sort of my angle and a tagline on that, but it can be so many other things. So
Yep.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so expand on that a little bit and, just make sure that you have conveyed how you bring them home.
Mm-hmm. And I can hear that when you say it.
Yes.
So that carries weight.
Yeah.
And people hear that when they speak with you. And so that's part of marketing as well, is how you deliver that message, not over just a social media or print, but it goes from your prospecting to marketing. And so even if they hear it from you verbally, when they read it, they hear your voice again.
Yep.
And that's the big thing of marketing.
we have a guy at our office. I love his tagline. His tagline is, I'm Steve Foster and I sell houses.
There you go.
That reminds me of Bob Vance from The Office. Yeah. Vance Refrigeration.
So, you guys, have you been pondering this yet? Do you guys want to have a couple of more minutes or are you ready to go? Does somebody have something that they've come up with?
How about you, Annie? Do you want a couple more minutes thinking about
Yeah.
who and why?
I don't mean to be, what is it, like a wrench in the system.
No, you're fine.
No, we
Like,
love,
I felt like we were asking you were giving us some questions to work on. We got 2 out. The second one happened, and then it just started going away again, and it went into all kinds of other stuff, which honestly just distracts me from like the process and the process of breaking this down. For me, is something that we need to spend some time and maybe having some open time where people aren't talking
Okay.
and sharing, just to like let people focus and then come back. I think it would help me. I don't mean to sound negative, but
That's okay. Do you want us to take, how about we do this? We'll give you 6 minutes till 9:40. And everyone's just going to write down what they want as far as who they want to work with. And why is that important, or why are we going to focus on that? Why is that our choice?
yeah, in order to come up with this statement, you had given, when you were free flowing, you had given like 4 really like, oh, those are good questions. What do I bring to the table? Who do I want to work with?
Mm-hmm.
I think if we have those 4 questions, then we can take that and create the outline for this. For I'm brand spanking new, so
Mhm.
I need that. I need that guidance.
so I'm going to try to remember what I said, which
Yeah.
is always difficult. I think what I said is, who do I want to work with? In other words, who do I want to attract to myself? Who will I attract and how will I attract them? And why am I the person that they would want to work with? And what is my skill set that will help with that? Not sure those are the exact questions.
Maybe said a little differently, but I think that's the ethos of what we're saying.
That's good. Thank you very much.
Sure.
And I put them in the chat too, so.
And why don't you guys take till 20 of and ponder that and then come back and share with us. All right, guys. So we gave you a few minutes to think about that. Does anybody want to give us their answers? What did you come up with?
I'm going to answer a question first in the chat from Linda.
Okay.
She said, when you say value proposition and our brand awareness, what does that actually mean to brand new agents? It's incredibly important to understand exactly what those terms mean so we can identify with them. I'd love to talk about that. So our value proposition is, what are we giving to our clients? What is the reason for them coming to us opposed to any other agent?
Right.
That's our value to them. And for everyone, it's going to be a little different. But it's kind of up to you and what we just talked about of why are they going to be attracted to me? What am I offering them? And that's our value proposition. Brand awareness is really what is the awareness of people and what do they think of us when they see our brand, they see our name on a sign,
Yeah.
they see a posting of a just listed online. Our brand awareness is, does that, someone seeing my sign on the road, completely link with what I'm saying my value proposition is?
Yep.
And so are they actually aware of that underlying meaning of what my business is and what am I delivering to my clients? Because there can be a disconnect. You can see an agent everywhere, but you don't really understand why he's getting so many listings or she's getting so many listings. So you might not have brand awareness. People don't understand why people are choosing you. I think that's the best definition to me.
It's kind of like the golden arches. Everybody knows what the golden arches are and what they represent, right? They represent fast food. So when people, what is your brand going to be that's going to stand out from everybody else? It could be your face. For the Scotland team, it's plaid. Honestly, our brand has tons of plaid in it. We have a house in our logo that sits on a for sale, for sale. Yeah, the L-shaped.
Oh yeah, yep.
Stand.
Yep.
And then there's a house sitting there and it's plaid. And it's plaid because plaid Scotland, it's a play on word, and people always recognize the plaid. And even here at the office, somebody every day almost someone will drop by my office and say, look, I'm wearing Scotland team colors.
Yeah. And I think a good way that you just made me think of this, it's like playing word association and think of different brands and just go through industries. If I go through shoe companies or sports companies and I did word association, what's the word I think of when I think Nike or I think Reebok or I think Adidas? There's a word association that you're probably going to come up with, and one might have given their value to you more. And that's why you go with that brand.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Just
exactly,
do it.
Exactly. Yeah. And so what I have, I don't know the quote exactly, but Seth Godin is someone in marketing. He's very famous, written a lot of books. But I always think of something he said when it comes to this in brand awareness. If Nike were to build a hotel, we kind of understand what that hotel would be, even though they're not in the hotel space.
Right.
Like we kind of have an understanding of like, oh, imagine what that would be like. You kind of get it.
You could describe their hotel.
Exactly.
So
can I share mine? Can I share
Yeah.
mine and then maybe we can dissect it a little bit?
Of course, I'd love that, Alex.
Love to hear it.
So I start mine with, I offer my clients real estate expertise. So that's what I do. And then I state on a personal level. So that's what I want my identity to be. I want it to be more personal than the average person.
Okay.
I say time and money are crucial to any transaction. I ensure through honesty and fair dealing, we'll both get the most out of our time and you will get the most out of your money. So with that statement, stating that time and money are crucial to any transaction, it's not just the money, it's the time as well. So in my experience, time is more crucial to me than money. Like I don't like getting my time wasted.
Yeah. So can you say that whole thing one more time for me?
I said time and money are crucial to any transaction, and I ensure through honesty and fair dealing, we will both get the time. We'll both get the most out of our time, and you will get the most out of your money.
Love that.
So the end there, stating that we'll both get the most out of our time, it kind of shows them that I have skin in the game too. Like they're not going at this alone. It's not just me servicing them. Like it's in my interest as well that.
Can you expand on that? Like what kind of things will you do to protect their time and money?
Well, let me think. That's a good question. I haven't dissected it enough, I guess.
Yeah,
That's
so
fine.
and that's what we're trying to say, is just keep building on that. Like go deeper, go 3 levels deeper.
Okay.
And just keep building it. It's a great start.
Yeah, that's a really good one. And would you mind just saying the first half? That's the part I was trying to
Yeah,
remember,
yeah,
like that first,
start from the
the first
beginning.
two.
Okay, so I offer my clients real estate expertise on a personal level.
Okay.
And then,
And
and then
then-
I go into the time and money. Time and money are crucial to any transaction. I ensure that through honesty and fair dealing, we'll both get the most out of our time and you'll get the most out of your money. And then,
Yeah,
and then I go on to say the home buying process should be a positive and exciting experience. And it's my promise to make one of the most important purchases of your lifetime an experience you'll remember.
So when I heard that, I thought a lot about positioning and how you're positioning yourself in front of clients. And
Yeah.
a lot of your messaging should not feel corporate then. It should not feel planned out. It should feel very personal.
Yeah,
and so
I kind of agree. Like after reading it out loud, because I've just read it in my head, it does sound like a little robotic.
And the other thing is, it sounds like you're, and maybe you want to be, that you're focusing on buyers.
Yeah,
yeah.
And is
yeah,
that?
that is how that comes off. Absolutely.
Is that what you want to be doing?
I think that's all I really know how to be doing because I've only dealt with buyers so far.
That's okay.
So that's great. And you've conveyed that to me. And at some point, if you do start working with listings, you may want to adjust it a little bit so that it's either more listing focused or more focused to both buyers and sellers. But at this point in your career, at this point where you are now, you're focusing on buyers, and that statement shows that, and that's great. Just keep evolving with it.
Yeah, and I like how it sounds right now. I didn't think it sounded super robotic. When I say the messaging should be personal, what I'm thinking of is everyone sends out daylight savings just happened, and I got 14 emails from agents that said, "Hey, daylight savings this weekend." And I'm like, I'm an agent too. I know. I don't want your client email that you send out to your whole database. And that's what I more mean with personal. I think if you're going to say I'm the one who's very personal, then you're going to have to make a focus of I'm going to have deep relationships with my database. I'm not going to have a 5,000 person database where I send out the same email twice a week to every person in that database. You can maybe get away with that with marketing stats or market stats, what's happening in the market. Those things are fine, but you're going to want to think about how am I delivering this to one person and fitting it into them. So you could get probably really tight with your messaging if you wanted to, if you find yourself with a specific group.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking demographic of like an investor or someone who's downsizing. Like if you find yourself in a niche at some point, you're new, so you're probably not there at all. That's where you can get very personal with what you're saying. And real estate's big enough where you can be in a very small pocket of the market and you can do really well.
Yeah, and you can do that with location.
I didn't realize that
well.
when I started this is that there's so many different avenues that you can explore and be an expert in. Like I know people that only deal with new construction, and like it seems so close-minded to me, but at the same time, like you can be super successful just being a pro and an expert at one.
That puts me to, mind if I just say real quick, one of the words you used in your value proposition was expertise. So are you more of an expert if you're in one corner of the market or if you're in all of them? And so if you're delivering an expertise experience, you might want to think about narrowing down. You don't have to, but you might want to think about what am I very good at and how do I do that more often with people? And that becomes a building block of your business. And then you are delivering expertise.
I like that.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And think of it not as eliminating other business, but it goes back to like the surgeon versus the general practitioner, right? As a general practitioner, that's great. If that's what you want to be, that's your specialty. If you want to be a surgeon, you've got to get that word out, and people have to know that you're an expert in a certain area. And
I think it's going to take a little bit of time and experience to decide
100%.
what area I like dealing with and very good with, But
I love that.
But no, definitely. I do have to remind myself that it's not me losing business. It's me securing all the business in one area.
Absolutely. And that doesn't mean by any means that if you get other kinds of business, you're going to turn it away, right? It just means your marketing is going to be maybe focused on a certain demographic.
Yeah.
For example, we were just talking about this the other day in my team. 80% of our business this year were people downsizing and moving to warmer climates. Well, how did that happen? We're attracting that right now. Well, I think it's partially because we're of that same age group, number one, and we make people feel very comfortable with us that are in that age group. But we've started to come up with ideas of, okay, well, if people are attracted to us that are in that category, then maybe we should be marketing to that category as well.
That's something that I've juggled with since starting is I actually think I really want to ponder to people my age, first time home buyers, and even go as far as to create like my networking bubble as far as lenders and home insurance agents to people my age as well. It sounds kind of closed-minded. It might bite me a couple times, but I don't know. It's just something.
Yeah, it's the difference between going very wide and knowing where to put your time best. Like this might be the most productive way to use your time because it's going to be the most successful overall. And we talk about that like 80-20 principle and things like that, which I don't want to jump into. But before I'm going to jump off, I'm going to let Andy ask his question because he's raising his hand. But something that just sparked before we jump over to him, you were talking about how people are coming to you with that kind of initiative of like, this is what we want to do, and you're attracting that business. One of the best things as new agents that you can do is go to people and say, what am I good at? Because you might not know. And Judy might want to call her clients that she sold last year and say, why did you come to us?
Exactly.
And so then your marketing is done for you. You already know why they're being attracted to you, and then you can just play on that. You don't have to think up on your own. So as new agents, you might want to go to your friends and be like, if you're going to hire me as an agent, why would you pick me? And it might be easy because they might not be in search for a house, so it's not a sales thing. You just be like, I need help with work for a second.
Yeah.
And go to the people you're most comfortable with.
Yeah, and actually your niche, if that's going to be your niche, your marketing plan for the next 12 months could be very specific to that niche. Like, for example, you could do first-time homebuyer seminars, and you can do things that will attract those people to you. Go ahead and answer your question.
I think that's where I want to lean is first-time homeowners.
Awesome.
Perfect. Love it. All right, let's let Andy jump in. What you got, Andy? And you're muted, so if you want to come off mute real quick. See if I can ask him to. If you can hear us, Andy, you're on mute, sir. There we go. All right, perfect.
Just didn't hit that unmute thing. Hi, I just wanted, I don't have a question at this point. I just wanted to share
awesome.
what my biggest value proposition might be. Since I was born and raised in Poland and I speak fluent Polish, I might help a Polish communities, Polish heritage people here in Connecticut, because there is a lot of a lot of Polish communities. Everywhere you go in Connecticut, there's something Polish around. So I figured that helping those people that need somebody speaking their language might help a lot, and that's how I can grow my business. There is quite a few Polish speaking agents here in Connecticut, but I'm pretty sure I can still squeeze in and be as good as them or even better, So my kind of tagline, I have that in my Facebook page, is we've been talking about this earlier today. I don't sell houses, I sell homes. This is my kind of line, and it's everywhere, right underneath of my name. So I think I came up with that because I'm pretty sure that all Polish people are very proud owning a home, owning a house. So they work very hard and they save so they be able to buy a house. And once they do, they're very proud of it. So the thing that I'm saying, it's actually a home, not a house. It's very important to Polish people. So that's one thing. And yeah, and the other one is, since I speak fluent Polish, better than English, so I can help people in their own language. I'm pretty sure I'll be not that quite pretty sure, but I hope I'll be very successful with it.
Love it.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
If that's your tagline and you're trying to let people know that you're bilingual, could you also say that in Polish and put that below, do English and Polish?
Yeah,
Or
sure.
side by
That's a
side?
good idea. But the thing is, the thing is that I'm doing a lot of advertisement in the Polish newspaper that comes out every Thursday. There's like 15,000, issues of that magazine every week. I started that, a Facebook page everywhere. I do it in Polish, and the Polish people are, even those that don't speak English, they understand what I sell houses. I sell homes, not houses. They understand what that means, even if it's in English. But yeah, I can do it in both languages.
Well, the reason why I'm suggesting that is because they may know that you sell houses, homes, not houses. And if you say it in Polish as well as English, they know you're bilingual then.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
you start when you're answering questions in a newsletter or whatever it is that you're doing with the Polish community, some of it should be in Polish so that they understand that you're multilingual and you can translate well for them.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Sure.
And to bring back, I just want to circle back on the thing we talked about, brand awareness. You're the first agent that I've met that speaks Polish and has targeted Polish. And so when you're talking about marketing in brand awareness, if you're carrying that being Polish and serving the Polish community in all of your branding and all of your marketing, and I see that as an agent, guess where my referrals go for anyone who speaks Polish who calls me and I can't service.
Right.
And so brand awareness isn't just your target market, it's you representing what your business is.
That's true.
Yeah. So think about it that way too. You're delivering your brand to everyone. And it's focused on your target audience.
Yeah.
But you're really showcasing that to everyone who sees it.
And I would add to that tagline as well and say that you will help you will help people by translating their language for them. And that will give them a deeper understanding of the process and what's happening. So you're going to want to expand on that and start doing community events, Polish community events, and go to things and get to know people and use your language, use English and use Polish so that they can see that you're very comfortable in both areas.
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna do.
Good. That's awesome. Anybody else want to share?
All right, think we're good with that?
Yeah, I think we're
I'll
good
move on
then.
if everyone's okay to move on.
Sure.
Hold on, Mitch Feinstein has his hand raised.
Oh, so sorry, I can't see all the hands. So come on, Mitch.
Go ahead, Mitch.
So I'm coming from a perspective of a homeowner, and my value proposition reads, I love our state and all that it has to offer. Owning a home is empowering to me. Finding the perfect home is my goal. I believe my knowledge as a homeowner is an asset that I bring to helping you find your next place to call home. And my wife came up with our slogan, "Let's get you home."
How are we going to get you home?
We're going to work harder than any other agent because I believe in home ownership.
There you go. Add that in somehow.
Okay.
Awesome. And I'm going to go back to something I said earlier about positioning yourself in marketing. And if your position is I work harder than everyone else, then they better see you all the time
Yeah. And
actually working.
And,
So if
and what
you-
is it that you
yeah.
do to work harder than everyone else?
Exactly.
What kind of things do you do that make that statement true?
Yeah, because the difference between you saying I'll work harder of I won't be the agent who just puts your house on MLS and sends out just listed postcards. I do A, B, C, D, E, and F. I do all of it. And so that might be a way you show how you work harder. There's a lot of ways that could come.
Yeah.
But if you're positioning yourself as the hardest working person, which I'm totally okay with,
Yeah.
because people do it and they do it really well. We've had a couple people at family reunion and events I've seen who that's their whole thing is, I forget the gentleman's name now. I really wish I remembered because I'd love to show you all his video. He has a video that he did at the end of the year where he jumped out of a plane to get like a smoke certificate done. And that was like his marketing was like, if I have to jump out of a plane to get your smoke certificate to closing, I'll do it. It was really funny and really clever, but his whole thing is I work harder than everyone else and I'll get it done no matter what. And his tagline is something along the lines of I'll get it done no matter what. Maybe not in those words, but
that's good.
Know where you're positioning yourself in your value proposition and just know that you have to be showing that
You have to
in a
prove it.
meaningful way all the time. Yep. And I'm fine with however you position yourself.
Sure.
Just do it well. I like that though.
I
Mitch.
like
Thank
it
you.
too.
Thanks for
Good
sharing.
job. And guys, loving all your input here. So keep that coming. Let's ask the next question.
How important do you think branding is?
How important do you think branding and aesthetic consistency is in your marketing? And how can you achieve it? Does anybody have branding that they think is pretty cool? Or have you started to think about what your branding will be? Like we have a girl that works in our office and she's a new agent and her last name is Paradise. And I said, if you don't use that to brand yourself,
Yeah.
you're missing out.
Mhm.
So, you know, that's a perfect name for being in real estate.
And honestly, I think we've answered this question because you're the Scotland team and you use plaid.
Right.
You know, we just talked to the gentleman in his Polish community. So use the Polish colors in all
Yes,
your branding.
yes.
And that creates the consistency, not just in the words and what you're showing, but also in the visual. And that's really all we're talking about is what is that going to be aesthetically that also conveys your message verbally and written.
Yep.
So start thinking about those things too. I mean, these are going to compound all these things that I know we're layering on a lot for you, but they do actually serve a purpose and they can do a lot for your business without you even thinking about it because it becomes consistent, really. And consistency is the biggest thing in our industry.
I had someone call me one day and he said, I've had my house on the market on and off for 4 years. And during that time, I've driven by your plaid sign 1 million times in this town. And I drive by it one day and then a few days later, when I drive by it again, it's got an under agreement sign on it. I want one of those plaid signs in my yard. It's branding. So does anybody have a really great idea as to how they will brand themselves? Or are you at least thinking about it?
Should get at least one yes for that question.
How
All right.
flexible, you mentioned the plaid sign. How flexible is Keller Williams on being able to build your brand with color? I know they're really big on red, but
So, yeah, I've always thought of it this way, like the team I'm currently on, everything is basically blue and black.
Yeah.
Some version of it, like a teal. And so it doesn't have to, the KW, if you look up in the logo section of KW, you can get KW in basically any color. You can get it in all black, all white, the red and black. Definitely talk to your broker on compliance. I always say that for different states, because I know we're talking to people not just in Massachusetts where we are. So that's something to think about, ask your broker. But the one thing I've always loved about KW in comparison to other brokerages is that it's you first.
That's
Market
right.
you. You have to be compliant with your state and have the broker there. But we want you to market you. You are the brand. And you're the person who gives the value to your sphere. And so that's always first. And KW is the person, which we do it, like we do that together at KW. But it's really about you and marketing yourself. And so other companies, you don't have that option.
That's
you
right.
market the brand and you get the little tiny rider at the top with your name on it. And no photo or anything. It's just your little name and your phone number at the top. So take advantage of that being at KW. I think you can create a brand that walks lockstep with KW.
Absolutely. And your team leaders should be able to guide you as far as requirements for your particular market center or your particular states. So don't rely on us for that because it's different. But they're pretty flexible.
Thanks for that question, Michael.
That was a great question.
All right, I see we got one chat. Let me just ask it. Thank you. Okay, so how do we or how should we follow up with leads generated from our marketing? I have a couple of things that I'd want to touch here, but let's hear from you guys. How would you follow up with people when they come in from your marketing, whether it's a sign call, social media, an advertisement you ran? How do we follow up?
How do we follow up with an inquiry, or how do we?
Yeah, just anything. Let's say you posted something online about a house you just listed and someone picks up the phone and says, hey, I saw the house you listed. What is our follow-up procedure on that?
Great. What attracted you to that particular listing?
Source. Yep, that's my first thing is where did you come from and why are you coming to me?
My first thing would be timing. How quickly do you respond?
Yeah, because most of the time they're not calling you, you're getting their information. So it's on you to get them on the phone really quickly. So that's the first step of follow-up.
So they used to say, if you don't return calls or if you don't follow up within 15 minutes, that you're going to lose a lot of business. Now they're saying it's 5 minutes. That's all you have. And I'm saying statistically, that's probably true.
Yeah. And it's not, I think if you look at, there's numbers that come out all the time on this and they're ever changing, but they pretty much stay within a range. But within the first 2 minutes, it's like an 80 or 90%. And then the 5 minutes is like 70 something percent. And then it drops immediately after 10 minutes to like under 50%. And so you lose that window really quickly. And if you don't call them for 2 days when they come in, you're basically just
wasting your time,
throwing stuff up in the air and hoping you catch it.
Yeah, the other thing is when we return our phone calls that quickly, people are like, oh, I can't believe you called me back so quickly.
Yep.
You don't have to do much to be a step above in this business. Follow-up is one of our weaknesses as a group. We don't follow up and we don't return calls.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be great at it. And if you are great at it, you're way above the bar.
Yeah, and going back to what Mitch said earlier about being a very hard worker and showing that in your value proposition, if you're the agent who answers the phone 1 minute after you get a lead, it's a building block of people expect that of you, even if it's just in the general market of like every time I've clicked on something for this agent, whether, because a lot of times they'll say it's by accident, whether it's by accident or not, I immediately get that call right away from him. So I know he is doing his job, and I might be someone who's browsing online. And if it's like a Facebook ad, I might not have meant to click it. But as soon as that happens and I immediately get, oh, he called me right away. And 2 months later, you're like following up with them on a consistent basis. They know you're the hardest working person. And so you have to deliver that on all levels. And follow-up is one of those levels in our job. Go for it, Mitch. What you got?
I think that could be added to the value proposition as a new agent. I'll work harder than anyone else because I'm not as busy at this point in my stage of realty. I will work harder than anyone else because you're one of my only clients.
Yep. You have all of my attention.
Yeah. Just be careful how you say that. Because
you don't want to portray that when I get busy, I'm going to get worse at this.
Mhm.
But yeah, you've got the time. Just say, I've always got the time to answer your calls.
Mhm.
Or I'll always make the time, even better. I'll always make the time to answer your calls. That kind of mentality goes a long way in this business, frankly.
Mhm.
Anybody else?
I've got two things. One is if you are like lightning fast on your replies, it's a good way, it's probably the best way to determine how decent of a marketing outlet that is. For example, you're replying, you're keeping track of your replies, time to reply, in conjunction with the marketing outlet you're using, whether it be Facebook or Instagram or a yard sign or whatever. And it's a good way to determine return on investment, to decide where you want your marketing dollars spent.
100%.
Mhm.
Yep, I have to agree with that. Yep.
And the other thing is, and this is, maybe not talking, to the specific goal of reaction time being quickest, but I find that the more layers of marketing your prospect has seen, the more forgiving they are in the minutes it takes to respond to them.
Yeah, that definitely can be true. Where do I want to go with that?
Well, and also, so not to keep bringing up open houses, but if you're doing circle prospecting around all of the open houses that you hold, you're also a cut above there. And people are going to be, it's the same scenario. Well, my agent didn't do that for me.
Mhm.
My agent never walked through my neighborhood. My agent never asked my neighbors if they knew of anybody who wanted to move into the neighborhood. Wow, that agent's a step above. You don't have to do a lot to be a step above. Just a little bit,
Consistently,
consistently.
all the time. Yep.
Yes.
Yep, and that's kind of what you were alluding to, is
Yep.
it's the consistency in which they're seeing the message, that the message actually gets delivered. It's not that I said it once to them. It's how many times I've said it to them and how many times they've seen it, ingested it, and then it becomes known.
Yep.
All right, we feel good to move on for a second?
Yeah.
There's a comment in the chat from Tanisha Simon. And she says, I lost a client because I was so quick to respond and didn't read the email fully. When someone sends you a message, listen or read the message completely before you jump.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great point. Absolutely.
Because you don't want to call someone because you didn't read the last paragraph that said, I'm currently out of town and cannot take phone calls for 2 days.
Yes,
And then you're calling,
100% true.
Yeah, so if someone sends you a message or leaves you a message, listen to it or read it before you react.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep. Yep. In the one case where I would think you can just jump in, it's like when you just get the message of, here's my contact information on like a Facebook lead or something like that. And all you have to go off of is, this is my name, my number.
Mhm.
And then it's just, call, get on it and set up your system to follow up. But yes, definitely true on the email. If you have a full message, know why you're calling them.
Yeah. And if you can't follow instructions.
Yeah, that doesn't show well either. All right, so I'm going to move on here and we're going to start about taking action, creating and posting marketing materials within Command. Before we do that demo, Steve, do we want to take a small break? Give them some time to digest what we just talked about? Because I'm fine if we want to give them 5 minutes.
You guys are driving the boat.
All right.
It's up to you.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah, I think they deserve a little bit of a break to digest what we've said so far. And if you guys have any questions when we come back before we go on to the next stage, we'll be happy to answer them.
Perfect. All right, let's do that. We're going to be back 20 past. Looking like 10:15, so 10:20. We'll see you soon. All right, everyone. Judy will be back in 1 moment. So you got a bonus minute of break. We'll be right back.
Let's just have.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Do we want to do a quick review of everything we've gone over this morning? Anyone want to make a comment, aha, or questions that you want to do right before we move on to our demos? Pretty good. All right. Let's move on.
Speak now. Or forever hold your peace.
All right, so we're going to go through tech demo and designs in Command. We're going to take a look at template type options, the designs dashboard, how to use a template, renaming and saving, and also accessing saved templates. All right, so I'm just going to hop over into my Command real quick. And so my fun, quick little tip that I always like making with everyone, if you're confused about what all these funky little logos on the left-hand side are, if you're new and you're just learning Command, click that little red box of KW and it tells you what each one says. So we're going to focus on designs.
So Anthony, say I want to make a design for an open house that I want to advertise on social media.
Yep. So we're going to go in there and we'll focus on that. So we're going to go to the top right over here where it says create design. So we're going to create this from the beginning. And you're going to get a pop-up. And what are we designing? Are we designing an email, social media, a print, or a video? Let's do, you want to do social?
Yeah.
Let's go with
You
social
guys
first.
good with that?
Nice. Thank you, Steve. Love the participation.
This is perhaps the best feature they've ever given us. So everyone pay close attention to what he's going to do.
I think it is. All right. So just make sure I'm following along correctly. And I'm going to have to move your faces a few times, so bear with me. So over here on the left-hand panel, I just want to make you aware of where you are in all these templates. So we have our templates and we have all of these categories. Just remember that we're in the social media category. So if you were to choose print right before this, you get a different set of categories and different types of designs. So we're going to focus on listings for now. And we're going to talk about open houses. That's what you want to go through. Just note, like, look at all these different templates that we could go through.
It's so simple too.
Coming soons, for sales, just listed, just sold. Let's go to open house. And so when you go into open house, we're going to be cognizant of how we're formatting this. So I'm looking at all different types of format. And you'll see they're different shapes, different sizes. We also have social media wide. That's going to be for Facebook. And then we have square, which is set for Instagram. And then we have stories, which goes for both Facebook and Instagram stories. And so how you template that is going to say, where do we deliver this message? Which kind of goes back to everything we're saying already. Of, you know, when we're talking about our branding and everything, we are trying to set that messaging for the place in which we're delivering it. And so I'm just going to go to Square for now. And Square is going to be for Instagram, but also look at all of your different types of options and go back and think about when we were talking about branding, what is the style in which I'm going to be doing that? And so Alex, I remember you had said personal in your value proposition. And so you're going to probably want to look for something that's the most personal. And when I'm looking at this one on the bottom right that I'm highlighting right here with all this black and crazy futuristic design, that might not be the most personal design for you to choose. Maybe this one is where it highlights mainly the house and it's not a lot of words.
Or the people.
Or the
Or with
people.
The people,
Yep.
right?
And so when we're talking about all these different things, you're going to want to set a standard for yourself, and maybe not right away. Maybe if you're new, you play with a bunch of different options and we get used to it. And then we kind of, as we go along, we start tailoring this to our business.
And the other thing is, see the response you get.
Yep.
So which ad got you better response? If you used the one with the people in it on one ad and you used the one with the futuristic stuff on the other ad,
Or posting, just regular posting as well. It doesn't have to be a paid advertisement. But basically I clicked on that. I said use on that template. And so now I'm gonna move your guys' faces again. So sorry. I got a lot of cluster here. So now that we're in the template, there's a bunch of different things we can do. So I want you to focus on assets. You can add different assets within your designs so that these things are always sitting here. So I always have my headshot. And when I go to text and I have assets, I have things like Keller Williams Realty North Central. I have my bio, my phone number, my email. So I can just click on these things at any time and it will bring it right into the design. So I have all these things set up beforehand, which I will go back and talk about, but just know that you can have these things pre-populated and ready to go. So it's really quick and easy to kind of move things back and forth.
How about my tagline? We talked about
You can
taglines this
easily,
morning.
yeah.
Can you
If
have
you-
your
if you
tagline
want
sitting here?
Add your tagline into your assets, just put that in there, and then every design you do, you know, you can just click on that and pop it right into the bottom of any design.
That's awesome.
All right, so we're using this template. Easiest thing we can do is we're just going to click on each of these different pieces of marketing, and I can click on like the address. I personally like using the typewriter. You could type right in here, but I like having the pop out come, and then I can just change where this is, 123 Main Street. We're currently in Leominster, Mass, so I'm going to use that as an example. And so now that's changed it to that. If I want to adjust beds, baths, square feet, the list price and when it was built, if I want to include those things, I just keep clicking on the typewriter and I can quickly change all of these different things for the property. That's if you were to do it manually. The great thing about Keller Williams designs that we built out is there's this feature down here called KWLS, our Keller Williams listing system. And so I could search a listing by the listing address or the MLS number, or even by the agent. But let me go to.
Can I tell you guys why that's important? A lot of you guys are going to build your businesses by doing open houses for other agents. You can advertise those open houses with permission, of course, just by pulling in that MLS number or one of those other ways to search for the listing you're going to be holding open.
Yep. And so, yeah, you'll see anything that matches that. My 134 Caspian is what it pulled up, and all the references, the 134 Caspian Way. This is my listing in Fitchburg. So I'm going to pull that up and look what I get. I get all of these different photos that came from the listing. And so these are all photos, but I can also go into the listing details and I can pull up its status, the address itself. So what's great about this, I really like this part. If I highlight something, all I can have to do is come over to what I want it to say. And there's this swap button. So I can hit swap and it pulls that information over for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so all that time we would do building out something by scratch and typing it all up, we can just find the house that we're talking about. If you want to just show price, for instance, and I want to switch this to price, I can just hit swap and it'll say price. Any additional like editing you want to do, just click on that typewriter. I personally would take out the USD.
Yeah.
And now I have the price there.
So you guys, are you using these designs effectively? Because I didn't originally start off by using them, but they've gotten easier and easier and more user friendly.
And so I'm using them more and more.
Mhm. And as just something I'm snowballing here, but to fill up space, if you're an agent who doesn't have a lot going on, what I would do, and I just showed the demonstration I wanted to for this property, so I'm going to go back. What I would probably do is I would go through these different templates and thinking about how I'm delivering my messaging, especially social media wise and marketing. Just look at all the different template types and what could I currently be using to give value. And there's going to be obviously listings. So if you don't have listings, talking to agents in your market center who you could potentially say, hey, I want to showcase the listing you just put on. I really like it. I'll give you credit and say that it is listed by you. But then I have things on my social media that's showing the market. Under the buyer section, we have all these different things as far as neighborhood snapshots, things that get done with Keller Mortgage, and different lead generation categories. You can kind of skim through these at your own pace and say, what could I be using in order to deliver the message that we talked about for the first hour, and then use that. And it's really easy ways to, I have something already built for me. And there's, I don't know, it feels like thousands of different templates that we have in here. But you can go through all of those.
Yeah, and an idea that I saw another agent use before was a new buyer's agent. Every week she researched her areas of specialty. So I usually tell my new agents, choose your location where you want to work. Whether it's 2 or 3 towns or 1, it doesn't matter. Or whether it's a section, if you live in a very large city, if it's a section of the city, whatever it is. But get to know your city, your area extremely well. And when you every week go in there and pick the bargain of the week. And just call that agent and say, hey, is it okay if I advertise your property? Can I showcase it on my social media? Most agents are going to let you do that, especially if you say it was listed by them. Make sure you do get permission. But if you're posting the bargain of the week every week or some other kind of catchy thing, it gives you an excuse to use your social media every week and to attract buyers.
I love that. Yeah, and I've seen that done with price drops.
Yep.
And so you find the house that just dropped in price and everyone's like, oh, houses are selling so fast.
Yep.
These are just ideas.
Do you always need a listing agent's permission?
I
I think
find
you
it
should.
works
Yeah.
much better if you keep, real estate is a very small business, relatively speaking, and we all get to know each other. And we don't want to be known as the person that's trying to steal everybody's listings.
Yeah.
So I find whether it's a rule or not, it's a best practice, absolutely.
And I would say as far as social media is concerned, the rule would be you have to disclose who listed it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so at minimum, you have to show it was their listing or the broker who listed it. And so if you're going to say that anyways, why not speak with them? Because they might tell you, I have this listing coming up. If you're doing a good job promoting it, getting them buyers. That might be a relationship you want to build, because remember, we're in relationships with the clients and with our co-brokes and with the agents in our office. Everything is built on relationships in our industry. So why not speak with them first? I'd rather start there anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. And just remember this too. Your reputation is going to follow you through your whole career. So you have to start right from the very beginning, doing more than they expect. Your fellow agents, that's your co-brokes is what I'm talking about now. When you're working with a co-broke, do more than they expect, be nicer than they expect, build your reputation. I have agents that have told me many, many times, all things being equal, they accepted your offer because I said I loved working with you.
I have a quick question. Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
In this design kind of part, there is this my assets on top. There's my assets thing. So how do you add the information to that my assets? Because I tried to design something the other day, and when you hit my asset, there's nothing in there since I didn't add anything, my logo, my name, my phone number, anything about me, so I don't have to type it every time. So how do you add the information to my asset?
I'm going to show you that right now. Andy, do you mind if I put a hold on that and show two things right before I show you that? And
Oh, yeah,
then we'll
sure.
jump right,
No,
we'll
no
jump
problem.
right into that. Perfect.
No problem. Thank you.
I appreciate the question. So right before we do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit. If you see right where I was up in the top right, where it says 11OH Instagram. So just know that they have these pre-templated with a name. So it's open house formatted for Instagram. And if I just highlight that and I want to change the name for where I save it, and I'm going to do open house 134 Caspian Way. And so now I know what this design is. And I can hit done. You'll see it saves. It saved the design. We'll hit complete. And it takes us back to where we started. And so now that I've changed the name, you see it saved right there. It's my most recent created open house 134 Caspian Way. And I can just access that design I've already done. And so then you have all your templates pre-built right there. If you have any design you've ever created, you can always access it in the front page before we go into templates. So that's just something I wanted to show you right away.
I have a question too, while you're doing this, and it may lead to what he's looking for. What I always tell new agents is to make sure that your profile is filled out really well and that you've brought in your pictures and your logos and all of that. Some of that pre-populates, right?
Correct. Yeah, so if you go into your marketing profile within Command, something your Market Center tech trainer at your office can definitely help you with, and there's walkthroughs as well. If that's filled out fully, a lot of that will pre-populate. Other than that, to answer your question you just asked, Andy, right here at the top, when you're in templates, there's an assets category. And so if you click on this assets at the top, we can change things like color palettes. So we can have access to like our team colors. So like you for plaid, I know we put in, what was it, red, black, and there's another color, like a gray color.
Yeah.
And so if you were to do text in different colors or background colors, she can edit all those colors to resemble the colors of her plaid. Then we have images. So I have my headshots in here, a couple old ones that I should get rid of. And then we have text. And so I have all these different texts, my bio, address line 1, my home phone, username, website, company name, email. So all of these are different fields that are going to be filled out. And you can add up at the top, if you just follow a new field, and you can add in all these text fields that you can populate when you're inside the design itself. I always recommend that you put your logos in. And so if you have your brokerage logo or like a team logo, any primary logo you want to add in there, you just hit upload right here. If everyone can see that. And so add everything that you're going to need up front within this assets tab. I don't have any elements, videos or files, but anything that you're going to use on a consistent basis, if it's already pre-populated and ready for you, it makes all that time you're going to use in designs much more in your favor. Like you're going to save so much more time by presetting it. The last thing I want to talk about in here, unless you guys have questions, please let me know, is this tab between the templates and the assets is called My Designs. And so out of all the designs I've created, I'm going to let this load up and then it's going to make more sense. So I have all these random open house or different like single one-off designs I've made, right? But also what I've done is I've broken down my listings, my presentations, some things I did in bold, in different lead gen, different categories. So when I have a listing and I need to make all my marketing for the listing, all I have to do is go under each category. So I'm going to take that back real slow so we know what I'm saying. So I go in my listings folder. I have a just listed folder, an offer accepted folder, an under contract folder, an open house folder, and a sold folder. So when my listing comes in and I've just listed it, I know I can come into this folder and I can edit these different settings, how I want them to look. And this is my just listed for Instagram. This is my just listed for Facebook. And this is my just listed for stories. If at one point I was using this design for Instagram, if I ever want to swap back and forth between these two, I could, but what you'll notice is I have consistency in my 3 postings. So every time I have a just listed and I've taken that exclusive right to sell from a client, I come in here, I make an Instagram post, I make my Facebook post, and I make my story post for Instagram and Facebook. They're all very similar. They basically all have that red bar in different variations. They're all in the same kind of format. And then that's my consistency. So I have this consistency throughout. It's already pre-branded with my brokerage, my DBA logo, and I just swap out photos and information. So all I have to do every time I take a listing is come into this folder, make my just listeds, I'm ready to launch them. And I can do this days in advance, basically. I don't have to rush and say, oh, what am I creating today? How am I going to make this post?
So I want to ask you a question about that.
Mm-hmm.
So if I wanted to use the same format, I'm going to go into that place.
Yep.
And I'm going to pull it up and I'm going to make my changes to it, add a different photo in there.
Yep. So everything that we just did. So we just made one, like I just made one open house. When you come into my designs, this overall category of my designs, you come in, you see the one I just made, right?
Yes.
And so what I've done is I've made a bunch of folders. And so right here where it says add folder, I would create, let's just say, if I had a folder for investing. I don't know a case of that, of why I would need it, but just for reference.
Yeah.
If I had investing marketing
Mhm.
and I made this was an investing piece, I would go and I would drop it in that folder. And now it becomes a template within that group.
Okay.
And so what I would do is I would just make these different designs, like this is a listing presentation template. So that could be in my presentations folder.
Sure.
And so every time I need to access something I know for listings, I come into this folder. Any design I created in that category, I will put up here. And just for me, I like organization a little bit. I've listed it also in subcategories of just listed, offer accepted, under contract, open house, and sold. Because I know those are the points in which I am going to market what happened with the listing. I'm going to market at each of those areas. So yeah, that's how I've broken it down.
Great.
Did that
That's
answer your
awesome.
question? I know
Yeah.
I jumped right into that.
No, that was good. And I guess what the end of that question is, so for example, that first document that you have right there, if I select that and I make changes to it, now I have to save it as something.
Mm-hmm.
And this one's still going to be there.
If I actually just do this one and just edit it,
So not.
no, I'll have to duplicate it.
Right.
So what I do personally is I have, you're actually getting into something really good. So this is what I'll show you. So let's say I did have a just listed. This is my template of just listeds, right?
Yep.
If I come into this one and I'm gonna go click on this design. Whenever my computer's
I
ready, it
don't
will be
love it
ready.
when it's slow.
Yeah, only when you're presenting. And so I will come in, I will change all of this. And let's say I switched out the facade picture of the new property. I put in all the details. I will actually download that. I will download it as a JPEG or a PNG. And when I download it, that's how I will use that asset to post.
Okay.
So I've downloaded it. It creates a download. I have it as a saved file. I'll then take this and go post it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever that piece of marketing goes. Whatever I've done in here and I click done and save, it's now changed and erased the one before it.
Gotcha.
The only way it wouldn't is if I had created a duplicate copy. For me, I have them in there as templates, so I use them as templates. I have saved files of my past stuff because I've downloaded them locally. And so I don't need to keep that forever. I'm
Okay.
going to constantly be selling and listing houses. I just want something that's quick and ready where I can just swap photos, swap information, and then go.
You
And
guys got that?
Yeah.
Is that
I got a
helpful?
big nod from Mitch.
Yeah.
Thank you. Andy's got a thumbs up. Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay.
Perfect.
Good. Thank you,
All right.
Anthony. I
So
appreciate that.
I feel good about that demo. Everyone else okay there?
Anybody have any questions? Because you know what, guys, here's what I find from our new agents. They don't utilize our tech trainers well enough. Honestly, they should be your best friends because they're going to help you get your business up and running quicker than we could figure it out on our own.
Yep. And if we're not available, I always say this too, is I have enough references and things to show you where I can give you a quick 10-minute video of what I just showed you myself. And if you can't figure it out then I can jump in and give you references to that too. So there's enough things within KW of training where we can, if you're looking for something, I can show you where to go find it yourself. And then when I have time, I can definitely just hop on a call with you. That's always been my rule. All right, so we've done the tech. Go for it, yeah.
So are you gonna show us how to actually post this in Instagram from command?
Yeah, I will do that. Yep,
Awesome.
I was just gonna talk about the actual design part of it, and then we're gonna get into how to post and do all of that as well.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep, of course, thank you for that. I appreciate the accountability. All right, so we went through the demo. We know where the templates are and what type of options we have between each source of whether it's Instagram or Facebook or anything else. Where the designs dashboard lives, we've used the template, we know how to rename it, save it, and where our saved templates go. Feel all confident with that, Judy?
Yes.
All right. Now we're going to talk about specific ones. Marty Millers are awesome. Laura, sorry, I just saw your. They are awesome. So we're going to talk about specific pieces of designs and what people have used, and we're going to talk about them in depth more. So Judy, you want to kick this conversation off?
Oh, sure, absolutely. So there are a few questions based on this photo and this advertisement that we have for you. The first one is, what do you think is the purpose of this marketing piece?
Shout it out.
Open house.
Open house.
Yep.
They're invited to an open house.
They're invited to an open house, right? Okay, so who do you think the intended audience is for this marketing piece?
Neighbors?
Neighbors.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else?
I would say family.
Family. Yep. That might be one. I would say it definitely is one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Think of anything else?
Like baby boomers.
Baby boomers. Okay. Maybe because of the property itself.
So a couple things I notice is, this is great. It's really geared towards your general audience, right?
Mhm.
However, if I know I'm not wanting to climb stairs, I know I'm not going to attend this open house right from the very get-go.
Mhm.
If I know that I am not looking for an open concept, then this probably isn't the house for me. But if
Or
I
brick.
am, or the brick, I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on here to give us an example, to pull us in or eliminate the property, quite frankly.
Mhm.
And I think that, especially when we have more inventory, buyers are looking for a reason to not go see the property, right?
Yeah. And so
So,
what they're actually doing in the intended audience is see who is this house really for,
right,
partially, because you're showcasing the most unique part of the property. You're not just doing the outside, and the outside might not look as unique as the inside. So I think that's something they're definitely doing.
mhm,
But I think you guys are all right as well in that you're
Absolutely.
talking about your sphere. So it's the actual design itself is built to be
Yep.
given to your sphere, and whether how you do that, whether that's through Facebook or if you just put this as part of like a weekly newsletter and an email, you could easily put this photo right in there. However you use this design, it's definitely for all those cases. And the neighbors, I'm thinking like a Facebook group page, like you have your like community page. If you had posted this would service that group. Yeah, definitely.
and it's also something they can't see.
Mhm.
So, for example, you may live in a community and you drive by this house every single day, but you never saw this angle. And so it draws you in.
Mhm.
And it really is a good picture. So how might you improve this piece further? Anybody?
I would be more specific on the date.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely. Yep.
Personally, I would actually make that more of a showcase than that little font.
Mhm.
You might want to make that a little bigger and give less of the open house at blah, blah, blah. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else?
So I think I personally would not use this picture because I use open houses for lead gen, and whether the person, I don't want the person to rule it out. So even if they
Awesome.
don't want it, I want them at my open house so that I can try to find them another house.
I love that. Yeah, you want the
Yep.
person to walk in and say, oh no, never mind, wrong house. And you go, okay, which house?
Yeah, I can help you with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a good point.
Is there other things that are missing from this? Anthony, I can't see the bottom, but
So sorry.
is the price even listed here
Nope,
anywhere? Do you guys
Which I-
like to put the price on your open houses?
I can answer for myself. I don't.
Okay. Do you, how do you guys feel about that? Nobody has an opinion on that? How about your information? You're the agent. You've got KW Partners on here. But you don't have really, I mean, there's a little logo over there. But I don't really see a lot letting people know that this is the Scotland team listing. So I might showcase that a little bit more.
Also depends on where you're delivering it to. If it's coming from your page and you have a call to action in the posting itself,
Mhm.
maybe this is just the photo you're using, so it can be very bland.
Yep.
That comes into effect too.
Yeah, it really does depend.
Um,
Don't you need
what
the number
method-
of the
Sorry,
realtor?
Michael?
Don't you need the number of the brokerage here?
No, well, it would
No,
probably
if-
depend on your,
It might depend on your state if you're in
State.
another state, but I know I usually only put the DBA logo in my postings.
yeah. Anybody else have anything they want to add?
I just think this is very like monochromatic. It's not appealing at all to me. There's not, I don't even know that I would even read this if this came in the mail. Because it's all like one color. There's nothing really grabbing my eye.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And
It would
so,
just get tossed. It would never, I wouldn't even know it was for an open house. You can't even, it took me so long to even see that it was an open house. I would just say, oh, that's kind of, sorry to sound rude, but it's kind of an ugly house. It's not my style at all. I would just look at the picture and whatever they were selling, I wouldn't be interested.
exactly. Yeah, I was waiting for
Yes.
someone to state that, how it says you're invited, and it begs the question to what? Because
Right.
I might not, as a regular consumer, I might not know it's an open house. And all you have to say it's an open house is right underneath that.
And you really have to hunt for that. I agree.
Yep, and in designs, you can also change these background colors, just so you know. So that would get into what colors do you use more often? And is it this team's thing that they use this color gray or silver, whatever you want to call it? And you use a blue or a red or something else to make it pop more. And yeah, I think their picture choice as well is something to think about. And there might have been a better, more suitable picture for the larger audience or.
And I like that some people like this picture, other people don't like this picture. That's exactly what we're talking about. And when you're advertising, you're gonna you want to pull in the buyer for that property if you can, but you also want to appeal to the masses, right? It's just like when you're staging. We're staging to sell the home, not to live in the home.
Yeah, so that becomes a bisecting conversation of
Yeah.
how are you marketing the property?
Right.
And is this your fourth open house? Or is this the first weekend?
Right.
And in the first weekend, you might be trying to get as many people as possible to come see, but in the fourth, you might be saying, this is exactly what you're walking into, and I want to find the person who's going to call and come to the open house for this specific reason.
Yeah. And by the way, you always want to put the money shot, in my opinion. You want to put the money shot there. So what is the money shot? Well, for example, I just sold a property that wasn't waterfront, but it had waterfront access, deeded waterfront access. The money shot was that. So that was my picture that I put on my open house. And then I slid in a small picture on top of it showing the actual house. So you want to think about what is it that's going to attract people to this house?
Perfect. We talked about how to improve it.
Yep.
So what method of marketing could we use to reach the audience intended for this specific piece? What methods will we use? Annie said one already. And that'd be print. So if it was in a flyer form, could potentially work for this type of piece. Social media is definitely one I think of.
Yep, absolutely.
And what would you think qualifies as a successful marketing piece? What do we call a success in marketing? maybe not specific to this specific example, but what would we call a success?
Is it engagement?
Engagement. Yep.
Engagement.
I like that, Tony.
Yeah, how will you know if it's successful? By engagement, that's definitely one.
Mhm.
Phone calls, people call you on it.
Yep.
Mhm. How about how many people show up to your open house?
I like all those. I also would add delivering exposure to yourself. So not just the engagement of the back and forth, but how many people have actually seen it. That's part of marketing as well.
Mhm.
Because if you list 10 properties in the next 3 months, in that consistency of I'm showing it to 10,000 plus people on social media every time, it's just the viewership of, oh, they listed this property, they listed this, I'm seeing them all the time, and we build up that consistency. So that might be a success too for marketing, not so much in prospecting. You don't want to talk to people and not have nothing happen.
Right.
But with marketing, you kind of want to be in front of as many eyeballs as possible.
But here's the thing, to go back a little bit to how you could improve the piece further. If I'm going to get 10,000 pairs of eyes to view this property, I also want them, I'm a little bit selfish. I don't, my first goal absolutely is to sell the property.
Mhm.
But I also want to make sure that I'm building my brand awareness at the same time. And there's not a lot of brand awareness in here. Like there is nothing to say, oh, look, the Scotland team, they've got, oh, wow, that's a nice listing. Hey, you got another listing. There's not a lot of, oh, here comes another marketing piece from the Scotland team. You aren't, the branding doesn't really stand out here at all. And if this is gonna go out to 10,000 people, really, that's my job, is to brand myself and to market myself and my team, as well as
In tandem.
my
Yep.
product.
Beautiful. Okay.
Okay.
Want to look at another one?
So those are kind of the things you want to keep in mind, though, when you're building your marketing. Like, see this Heartland Combs? I like their logo. What do you like about their logo? Does anybody have anything to say about it? I mean, a lot of people have that roof,
But they don't have that big heart in the
but
center.
they don't have the big heart, and their name isn't Heart Link, right?
And just off the top, for me, their heart link is red and purple, and the string on the heart is purple. And so there's like the consistency in that coloring, and then the red goes back to the
Yeah.
edge of the KW flyer and the KW logo, where it has the red KW and then the gray in black for the lettering. There's a lot of consistency in color in
There
this one that
really
I
is.
like. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I see that sign, I'm gonna think of you. If that's your logo,
Mhm.
I'm gonna start recognizing that brand, because that's really unique.
Yep. And I want to thank Samantha Kelly for saying agent contact info. I didn't see your comment
Yes.
until now, but yes, agent contact info can be very
Absolutely.
important, especially in your marketing.
Yep, you have to have that in every piece that you do. You have to tell them, how do I find this person? How do I find this team? How do I find Heartland Combs?
All right. And so what's the purpose of this marketing piece? Anyone?
It's informative. It's,
Yep.
yeah, it's just for, you're providing value. That's what I was looking for.
Exactly. Yep. This is an item of value piece. I'm giving you information that you might not have already known.
So whether you're looking to buy in Gem Heights or you're looking to sell, it's kind of giving you a good idea of what's happening there, right?
Is this a farming piece?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. So we're looking at neighborhood statistics. So now we're giving them what's the average list price and what's the average sold price. And to me, right off the bat, this is unlike our market currently, but I look at that as a homeowner in my area and I'm like, oh, homes have been going on for 360-ish area, but they're only selling for 322. Why is that?
Right.
I immediately have a question because there's a discrepancy there.
And so if I have a question, who would I call to answer that question but the agent, right? Heartlink Homes.
Mhm.
The other thing, yes, I agree that it's a farming piece, but it could also be a social media piece that you're putting, if you're
To a
farming
to a
and
select group.
to
There-
a,
If
absolutely,
you know a community on, and it doesn't have to be that every social media piece goes to all of social media. If
Right.
there's a group that you belong to, especially I'm thinking like Facebook groups and things
Mhm.
like that, maybe this is a piece just for a specific group on social media or a
Right.
specific place on the internet, where this actually holds value.
Yep.
All right, and then what method of marketing could be used to reach the audience intended for the speech? I think we just answered
I
that.
think we did. Does
Yep.
anybody have any other ideas?
Mitch Feinstein has a question.
Go for it, Mitch.
I think it's great. And we're gonna get in touch with Heartlink Homes, but there's no phone number to get in touch with Heartlink.
Yeah,
Homes.
so I'll make a small caveat to this one, only because I think I remember this design specifically. If this is a postcard, their information will go on the backside. So on the backside of this postcard, they'll be able to put all their information, a QR code, and then it'll get stamped and sent out.
Gotcha.
So
And I kind of agree with you though. When I'm sending, even if I'm sending out a postcard, my contact information is on both sides of that postcard.
love that. Yep.
So that's a
Yeah,
great,
because it might hit the trash before they flip it over.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Great point.
Yep.
Well, I know
So-
this picture is pretty inviting to me because look at the size of those homes for 362. Where are they living? Because I want to be.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Yeah. So you bring up a great point. If this was sent in Leominster, Massachusetts, and I sent this out in marketing, I don't think anyone would pay attention to that. They'd think I'm selling in Florida.
Right.
Like, how is that going to hold water with my community when I'm sending them this photo? It looks like I'm not really from here. So you actually bring up a great point in jest. But yeah, I think that's you have to match your community when you're actually doing these mailings. And you might want to show something. Maybe I'm thinking of like, you take a photo of the town center in your town.
Mhm.
And if you're marketing to that specific community, you have to match that in photo.
Yeah, because everybody's not going to hire a drone to go out and take an overhead shot of their community. But if you can find one, that's great, as long as you're not breaking any rules for
Yeah,
using it.
and I was actually, to tell a story, I was in DC this past weekend. And if I was marketing to that area in a specific community, there's a lot of history there and statues in the town centers and different squares. And if I was hitting a certain area, I might do different photos if I was doing this like monthly or quarterly.
Right. Yes.
It would suit that neighborhood. I wouldn't do, the Lincoln Memorial for Northern Virginia because they're
Right.
just outside of DC, but they're really close. You might want to say something that's specific to that part of the area in the country that you're in, or the city or state that you're in.
Yep.
And then you can use that and play with that in your marketing if you're being specific.
So pictures say a lot.
Yep.
They really
100%.
do. And you guys can so you will really start looking like the expert in the locations that you want to work if you start using real community pictures.
Yep. So in your area, you farm Ashburnham a lot. So lake photos will definitely play well. There's tons of lakes, and lake homes are a big thing of your market. And so I don't think country clubs would be the choice for that. If lake homes
That's right.
would supersede it. And so you have to think in your community, what am I kind of trying to showcase?
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
And by the way, I've had enough listings in that town so that I have all of that footage, all of those photos in my files. And so it's easy for me to just go in there and pull up a shot of a lake and say, hey, here's what's happening on Watatick Lake this month.
Beautiful. Love that.
Real
guys-
quick,
Yeah.
Jacob Clark put a question in the chat. Can you quickly explain again where I would find this data, the average sold price, et cetera?
Yes.
Good question.
Great question. So with this specific postcard, you can go into the designs in Command, and it will actually let you search for a neighborhood. We use a connection with Nextdoor, and you can actually have it pull in that information for you. So if you go into Command, you pull up this exact piece of material, like this branding material, and then you pull it in. It's going to ask you what neighborhood do you want to search for, what zip code are you looking in, and then you can select the neighborhood and it should pull the data in for you. If not, if you want to make it from scratch, which is totally your prerogative, and I'd say if you're doing like, you want to talk about zip codes, because there are towns in Massachusetts, for example, we would go by zip code because there just aren't enough small neighborhoods that would actually be represented in any meaningful way, because they're so, like, I'm thinking of Princeton, Massachusetts. It's kind of a spread out town, and there aren't really any like small communities, or like there's no grid. It's not like a city where you can just chop it up into neat sections. You might want to look on your MLS and look up the stats there and input them manually, because that's what you want to deliver as a message. It's more meaningful. So yeah, it's nice to have these little shortcuts. And in some instances, depending on what town, city you're in, it's going to be correct. But double check it too. You're going to want to be accurate in your marketing.
Always verify it with your MLS information.
Yeah, thank you for that, Jacob. And Steve, yes, you said to pull up the neighborhood nurture report.
Yep, perfect.
Yep, that works as well. And it's on your website if you look up these neighborhoods too. If you're ever on your website through command, through KW, you can look up these neighborhoods on your website in and of themselves and find that data. So that can be a really quick way to do it. All right.
Great. Any other questions?
We're gonna stick on this if anyone has a question.
Looks like we're good.
We're good. I love this one. This is one of my favorite ones today. So we have this design. What do you think is the purpose of this marketing piece? This one made me think of Mitch. Because you're showing that you're working in the field. That's the first thing I think about in this design. This is what I'm showcasing what I do.
Right.
It's a farming piece.
Exactly.
It is.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Market update. Yep.
Who do you think the audience is?
Everyone in that neighborhood.
Yep. That neighborhood or that community. I see one's, but there's 2 Wichitas and 1 Bentley.
Something for everyone.
Something for everyone.
Exactly.
That it does, it shows that this person or this group sells all kinds of property, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, different price points, land, single family. How would you improve this? I'm going to give you guys a second, but I have one that I would do right away.
No phone number and no agent information.
No agent information, no
That's
phone
right.
number. Yep, there's one other too. I didn't think of that, but that's definitely one.
There's also not something.
Yeah, it's missing one thing that the other 2 have. And I gave it away right there. But the 2 just listed, they have the price and information about the property, but the pending is lacking that. I don't know what you listed it for, or if I could say it went, 10% over asking, 5% over asking. Maybe I don't give the actual price, or listed at, and then, it's pending now. And what are the beds and baths on that? So
Right.
I'm missing information on why that one got an offer and why these are on the market.
The other thing it's missing, and I was hoping that one of you guys would call it out, but there's no call to action on here. So what is the purpose of this? If I receive this in the mail, if this is a postcard, say, what's my call to action? Well, all it says here is these properties were listed and one is pending. What do they want me to do with that information?
Mm-hmm.
You should always think about having a call to action on your marketing pieces. And if you're not going to put the price on that one, call the Scotland team to find out more about what this house sold for. It's pending right now. I can't tell you what it's sold for yet, but you've got to have some kind of a call to action.
And one thing I want to highlight too that I like about this is that the just listeds are in red, pendings in blue. So my eyes immediately go to what's different about this one, and to show that, we're actually putting houses under agreement.
Yeah.
We're not just listing them. So I like that a lot about this piece, just in a visual sense.
I would like to see some solds here, though, right?
Yep. Yep, that'd be definitely be nice.
If I'm trying to farm an area, I don't want to know that you listed 2 houses and you've got 1 under agreement. I want to know, how many did you sell as well?
And so based off of these 3 we just went over, what's something we were going to do to think about and keep in mind when we're creating our marketing pieces? Just give me a couple of things that we're going to keep in mind.
Setting yourself apart.
Yes.
Yep, setting yourself apart.
Do you think that their logo, Armstrong and Company, do you think their logo sets them apart the way the previous one did with their logo?
It's good, but the other one was better.
It definitely stood out a little bit
Yep.
more. The heart link definitely stands out, to me at least.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. So when you guys are creating your logos or your branding or whatever you're going to have, remember that you want to stand out from the crowd. It's one of the reasons why a lot of people use their face. But if you're going to use your face on your signs and whatnot, make sure you can really see it, because I can tell you, I drive by a lot of for sale signs and all you can see is a little blob. You can't really make out the features of the person. And so it's not really branding themselves in my mind, because I can't see it well enough to recognize them. So if you're going to use your face as recognition, make sure it's big enough so that people can see it. Same thing with your phone number. If you're not going to put your phone number on your for sale sign, that's a mistake. But if you're going to put your phone number on your for sale sign, make sure they can read it. I don't want to have to stop and pull over in order to be able to zone in and see it.
And one of the things I was hoping someone would say with keeping in mind is the call to action, and making sure that that call to action is very apparent.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be this hidden thing where they stumble upon it and not everyone sees it. Your call to action should be very visual and right in front of them. So there's no guesswork there.
Yep.
Awesome.
You guys have any other things you want to say about it?
I think color is really important. What catches your eye?
Yeah.
Yep, I like that. Definitely, especially with this piece. I think this
I
piece
agree.
more than the others. I noticed that.
I might even change it a little bit if it's the green, like stoplights. Maybe like if it's green, it's just listed. It's kind of like, oh, that's green. With red, it's kind of like takes you into that stoplight thing where it's not something positive. Green might be something positive. Just a thought.
I like that. No, that's definitely something to think about and test.
And by
It
the
might be
way,
something you test in your marketing.
if you do that all the time, people will automatically know the green means listed, the red means sold, whatever the color schematic is that you're using. You'll be surprised how quickly people become accustomed to what the codes are. Oh yeah, green means listed. Oh, look at all the red ones. They're all those sold ones. So think about consistency in everything that you do. And the one thing that I want to add here is, in real estate, to be successful, it's all about repetition and consistency. And that's really all you have to do.
Yep. Beautiful. All right. So we're going to move into the activity section where you guys are going to go do the actual activity where you're going to create a material in designs. So we're going to have you log into your command agent.kw.com, go into that design section we just showed you. And I think we are running a little tight on time today, but if we want to give about 5 minutes for this, if that's enough time, I'm going to have everyone go in and go make a material. So go into those templates, pick a template that you want to use. If you want to use the use case that we just showed, like with a particular property in an open house, or if you want to go through another template, go in there and create a design, and we'll be back in 5 minutes.
And then when you come back, if you had any trouble or any questions along the way, then would be the time to ask them.
Yep. So ask myself or Steve. We're here to help you. All right, I'm going to give everyone a 30-second warning. We're going to come back in a minute. All right, I'm going to ask everyone to come back.
How'd you guys do? Was it as easy as Anthony made it look?
No, says Mike.
Okay,
Sorry.
so Mike, why?
Which Mike?
Michael Mahoney.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to click and replace, and I'm replacing whole things with like a 1.
I can't really see
Like-
your screen at the moment, but if you want, we can definitely go over that together. But one thing you're going to want to be careful with when doing those designs is making sure you're selecting the correct thing. Those designs can get pretty funky in the fact that there's a lot of layers to them, where they have like something over a picture and it's kind of the layout is set up. So make sure you're selecting the correct thing. And then when you're hitting the replacement, you're also replacing it with what you want to be replacing it with.
Yeah.
Right. So at the bottom, where it gives the beds, the bathrooms, the I clicked on that, and then I clicked on the thing that said bathrooms 1, and it just replaced the whole thing with a 1.
Yeah, so that one is going to get tricky. What I do with those particular pieces of information, because I don't like how it gets pulled in from MLS, so this is more in the weeds than we probably need to know. But when it pulls in that information, it's just actually pulling in the number of beds, the number of baths. And when you have that nice layout of 3 beds, 2 baths, 1,400 square feet, I just click on that and I hit the typewriter and I just replace the actual thing. So I keep the format. Know when you replace something with anything in the assets on the left, you're taking the format of the thing in the asset and you're removing the format of what's already there.
Right.
So as much as I can, I like keeping the format of the design, and I'll edit that first unless it's an obvious thing where I can swap out like a photo.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so, yeah, I would select however it's formatted in the actual design and then hit the typewriter and just replace what you need to replace on that. Just for your reference on the one you're looking at the top of the screen, there is a back button, just like you'd find in like a Word document. You can hit back and you can go back.
I hit the back button and it changed the picture. And I'm like, well, no, that's not what I wanted to do at all. So up until I hit that, everything worked great. But
okay, so we'll work.
that
Maybe
one was.
We'll just do more practice with it.
So, yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. So tech is not my thing. And I love that Anthony makes everything look so simple. And what I have to tell you is it's not always as simple as it looks. However, it really is just a matter of getting comfortable with things and using it and practicing. Oh yeah, if I do this, then it won't do that. Or, oh yeah, if I do this, then I can accomplish that. So you have to play with it. There's no way around it.
Yeah, it's just being in there over time. You'll get it. You'll get the hang of it.
It was still miles easier than building it myself, which I was doing before. So.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
yes. Do not. You're going to save so much time with using pre-templated items, especially where you are. If anyone's new, start there, and you can add layers of your own, whatever you want to do with them after.
Yeah.
And as you get more comfortable, you can do more, fancy things with it.
Absolutely.
All right. Anyone else want to share questions, concerns?
No, I was actually just doing my open house one. So I've been working on that. So kind of almost done.
Almost done. Do you feel it's fairly easy to use that?
Oh yeah, I've been playing with it. I mean, I've been licensed only 2 weeks, but like the first week I got my logins, I started playing with the designs. So it does take, a little bit, but now I'm more comfortable. So
yeah, there's a learning curve, but it's something you can learn.
yeah, it's quick though. After you use it a few times, then you're like, okay, it's fine.
Perfect. All right. So I am going to do another quick demonstration for you guys. Let me just get in here. And so I know we don't have a ton of time. We have 35 minutes left, but I'm just going to do a quick overview of campaigns in Command and kind of showing you, once we have made these materials and we have all these assets, what are we doing with them and how are we delivering them?
Before we do that, let me poll you all. We're supposed to do script practice and telephone calls. Are you guys okay with skipping that so we can show you how to do some of this stuff?
Definitely.
Yeah. The most painful part of our jobs, but the most important.
Yeah, so then we'll rely on you guys to do that part of today's lesson on your own.
Okay. All right, so we have created designs, and so you can see all the designs I've created. And what I'm going to have you do is, again, click on this red box if you were unfamiliar with some of these applets within Command. Go into the one with the megaphone that says campaigns. And campaigns is a way for us to deliver on a lot of these designs that we'll make. And there's a lot of different avenues in which we can send these designs. So let me just open up this screen a little more for you.
So Anthony, what exactly is a campaign?
So a campaign can be a lot of things. It can be a paid advertisement, whether that's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or Google AdWords. So those are ways we can pay to get advertising in front of people we're not already in front of, or we call our haven't mets. And then another type of campaign is an email campaign. So whether that's you want to do an email campaign on daylight savings time, like I brought up earlier, or an open house that you want to invite certain people, maybe you want to invite co-brokes, that could be an email campaign, a weekly or monthly newsletter that your business runs, an invite to an event. Open house would be one of them, but maybe you have a different event that you're hosting. That's another type of campaign. You can set up direct mail campaigns. So if you created a direct mail piece within designs, you can then use that design and send it off through the system in our direct mail campaigns. And there's also social posts. So I think to keep in step with all the designs I've already showed you, we're going to talk about social posts and paid advertising.
Okay.
One thing to note that if you haven't set it up already, you are going to want to go to the top right, and in the drop down of settings, you are going to be able to connect applets if you haven't already connected them. And you're going to want to make sure you are connected to your Facebook business page. in both social posting and both in paid advertising. There are two connections you'll have to make there in order for this system to actually deliver that design to your page. They have to be connected. So if I were to go into social posts, and let's say, Vanessa, you have that open house coming up and you wanted to do an announcement on your Facebook page. I would hit create a campaign and I can do a social post. And it will allow me, it's going to grab my DBA logo. It's going to allow me to put in text and say, you know, open house event. This Saturday, add in your details, time, place, and fill in all of this text. Then we can upload an image or we can browse from our design library. If you've already built out that design, I can just grab that immediately from there. Let it load. It will happen, I promise. Oh. Or it won't, because I did something wrong. I did promise. That was bad. Let's see if I can use this one. Maybe I didn't save it correctly. There we go. So it's going to pull up and allow me to crop it. So it's important that it's actually sized correctly. So now we have it cropped, it's set. We can also upload multiple images. So if I wanted to add another image, I can just click this plus. And then what you're allowed to do, which I think is the most useful part of this piece of campaigns, is that we can publish it right now, just publish immediately as soon as I hit publish, or we can schedule this out. And so I could say, I don't want this to go until tomorrow at 10 a.m., or I could change the time to noon.
Can I have this go out more than once?
Yep, you come in, you hit schedule post, and you'd reset it. So I find that useful in the case that, let's say I take a listing on a Friday, and I know I can have it ready with photography in a perfect world for Monday. And I can preset all of my posts for a just listed post on Monday, inviting people to the open house on Wednesday, and a reminder post about the open house on Friday evening.
Wow.
If I were to set these all up in that order, and I can have it post to my Facebook and my Twitter.
And guess what? You don't have to think about it again.
Nope. So you can set these up.
That's awesome.
That's the best use for all of this, is that I have a system in which I know what posts I'm doing each week with a new listing, and I just set them up and run.
Yep.
You got something, Annie? You didn't mean
No.
to. That's okay. That's all right. And so what you also get to do is, as I'm typing in here, and I'm just going to type nonsense, but you're going to see it show up on this side over here. So you get a sense of what it looks like when it does post. So it does show you kind of in real time, what does that look like when I post it? And you get a drop down if you have multiple accounts. You can say which account does that actually go to and how is it viewed. So I can schedule that post out right now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm losing battery, but that's okay. Or you can save that as a draft and come back to it later.
Do you want me to get your plug?
Yeah, I got it. All right, any questions on that as far as scheduling posts? Good, good, good.
I have a question. I went on my command site and I was trying to see where to connect my social media and I did not see it.
I can do a quick run through for you. Yeah, so you're gonna hit the drop down in your name and you go into settings.
Oh, it's under settings.
And so right when you click on settings, the first thing you should see is a list of connected applications. You'll see it says applications, connected apps, and you're going to look for the two that say Facebook. One will say post scheduling, which is for the use in which I just showed you, where you're just scheduling posts for your page.
All right.
And then the other one is called Ads Manager, and that will allow you to do paid advertising on Facebook. So it won't show up on your page itself, but it will be posted on Facebook.
Okay. I have multiple accounts, so I'm trying to get it to connect to the
That's okay. Yep.
realtor account, but I do see it.
Perfect. Yep. So once you set that up, you'll be able to run those things pretty easily.
Thank you very much.
No problem. My pleasure. All right. And so then our other option would be a paid advertisement. And I will save you the stress of going through that. We do have walkthroughs on KW Connect. And if you go to answers.kw.com, you can find walkthroughs on there as well. It's a fairly similar setup, but there are some extra steps as far as setting it up. You can connect a listing directly to it if you're showcasing a listing. You can use your designs if you wanted to, if you've already created a design, and you're going to have to allocate some spend on this. So I always tell people, I'm not going to tell you how to run your business or where you spend your money. That's your business. But just know you do have to spend money for this particular one. And you'll see I have a couple examples up here. I've run $20 ads and gotten 10 leads. I've run a different $20 ad and gotten 15, $12 and I got 2. So they're different. You get different results. But I find that on listings particularly, it depends on the listing. Each listing gives you a specific buyer or specific interested party. And so you might get varied results, but I find it pretty consistent. And I always run it with all my new listings. I always try and generate some type of leads through Facebook advertising. That's up to you if you want to do that or not.
Can I ask you a question, Anthony? What's the difference between putting an ad on your business page in Facebook and boosting it versus doing a paid ad from here? Which would you prefer to do and why?
So the technical answer, I'm not sure I'm completely an expert to answer, but the main difference is if I have a post on my page, like you just post something on your page, like we just showed you, you schedule it for tomorrow. And then Facebook will say, do you want to boost that? Do you want to get that in front of people who wouldn't already see it? You could then pay Facebook to show that post over a bunch of different areas within Facebook. That's my understanding.
Yes.
What you don't get out of that is you may not get a direct call to action, although you can add one on Facebook. You can add it. But what you don't get is that initial connection to your command in your database that I like with paid advertising. And so you're doing that on Facebook, and it's kind of like living separately.
And all the leads are coming
into Facebook, and you're managing it elsewhere. And it's also a local post on your page. What I like about paid advertisements, especially the way they're set up in Command, and I'm going to be playing with this in front of you as we do it. But the one thing I do like is that I can create this campaign and I can create a lead generation form right from Command. It builds it for me. I'm just going to do all listings, and I'm just going to grab a random listing so you can kind of see where this goes. And when I'm configuring this advertisement, as you'll see here, when I select the listing, it already pulls in the information from the listing, like the main ad copy. We can put in headlines, descriptions, we can choose our photos through media, but we can also configure Facebook settings, you know, what page we're putting it on. And we really want to select this and create a Facebook lead generation form. What happens here is I get a lead in, and you've seen I've gotten 10 leads or 15 leads in some cases. They'll be put right in your database in Command. Command sends you an email and says, hey, you have a new lead, which allows me to be quicker in response and set my follow-up and my calls. But also you can set up smart plans, which we haven't really talked about today. And I'm sure there's going to be a class on that you guys are going to see. But in smart plans, I can say, this is my follow-up plan for any lead through Facebook. And that plan just starts. So whether it's sending emails or text through Twilio or telling you to call them, all those plans will kick off right when you get it. So this system can kind of leverage you in that sense of doing things for you. And that's why I like this system of, I can do what I do in a boost of getting it in front of people I normally wouldn't get it in front of. But I have all these layers of leverage added on with Command.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's too much
Good.
information
No,
all at
no,
once.
no,
I
that-
know a lot of this is.
Are you guys interested in that? Because I was definitely interested in that answer.
So quick question. So are you saying that the leads that come in, you can have it set up so they automatically get assigned a smart plan?
Yep.
You don't have to go in and actually do it?
Nope.
Oh, I gotta talk to Steve about that. I didn't know that worked.
There you go. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, you can have it be triggered. And so what you do is you have a trigger that either tags the person, and so they're tagged as this Facebook lead, and that trigger then kicks off a smart plan because we can have smart plan tag triggers. And so those things can work in unison with each other, and you can kind of layer this so that my leads are being taken care of. If I'm like bound to do something, I'm in a meeting or something, I see that come in, I know at minimum they might have gotten a text or an email.
Okay, apparently somebody didn't pay their phone bill this month. Just to follow up on that discussion, if you go into, if you had scrolled down about 2 inches more on the page, there's a space there where you can automatically tag the people that come in. I tag them with the address of the property I'm promoting. And you can also you can select a smart plan that kicks off immediately. So let's say that I post a house on Facebook and Vanessa sees it and clicks on it. Facebook takes her information and puts it into command as a lead, and it tags her with 125 Smith Street or whatever the address is. It will also kick off a follow-up campaign that's called Facebook Follow-Up. And it sends her an email immediately. And then the next morning it sends her a text. And then the day after that, it has 3 messages going out. Meanwhile, I'm going to call them, at a decent time. You're going to find that a lot of people are looking at houses at 10 o'clock at night, and they don't want you to call them at 10 o'clock at night. So they get that email that says, thank you very much for looking at my listing. If you have any burning questions, here's all my contact information, and I will call you to answer any questions you might have. And then the next day, they get a text message, and sometime between that first message and that second message, I have called them.
Yep.
Yep. Thank you for that, Steve. That's exactly.
Oh, you're back.
You're back. Good job. Good job picking up the ball there.
Yeah, if you scroll back, scroll back down. I'm not done yet. Scroll back down. Configure lead settings, please.
Yep.
So here's where here's where it automatically puts a tag on the lead as it comes in. You select the one you want to go there. And then you can also assign a smart plan to kick off immediately.
Yep. And so you might notice right away, I have all these addresses. These are the listings that I've run ads on, so that all I do is I make a tag for this. And then the first part of my smart plan is very specific to the house. And then that triggers off the next plan, which is just general information, trying to get in touch with them, follow up from that. So the very first thing they see is I'm reaching out to you because you were interested in this property. And then after that, it's, can we get in touch? This is what's going on with the market, follow up and follow up and follow up.
It's almost like you have an unpaid admin.
Yeah, that's really what it is. Yeah, because that would cost me way too much money to have someone do all that for me.
Right?
And I don't know what your results are like, but I have not seen Fred Flintstone, Santa Claus, or Jesus Christ responding to any of these ads.
Not recently.
Unlike the register at an open house.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And Fred Flintstone in different words. Yes.
I'm being polite. We have mixed company out here.
And then, yeah, we just assign it to a smart plan. So we have that. I have all different, like my 19 Epping Street, 83 Pearly Lane. Like, so I have all these pre-built. I think one of them's called, there we go. So I have, oh, where'd you go? But I have one that's for Facebook follow-up. So you just find that Facebook smart plan to connect. So I have that pre-built for everyone who comes in.
So that's probably another class, guys. Ask your tech trainer to teach you how to get really deep into this, because honestly, it really is like having an unpaid admin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it can definitely leverage you a whole lot.
Yeah.
Especially when you can start getting a lot of leads coming in and you're following up a ton. Have those systems in place through command.
And it's also low cost.
Yes.
Very low cost.
Yeah, I'm spending on these, I'm spending, $20, $2 a lead, $1.33 a lead. And I'm not hooked into a contract either. Like if I don't have the money 1 month, I don't spend any money on advertising. When I do, I spend more.
Yeah. Yep.
And
exactly.
you can also weight the expenditure if you if you want a certain percentage to be run on Facebook and a certain percentage to go on Instagram, you can set it up that way. You can tell it, go 50-50, what have you. But it's incredible how inexpensive it is.
Yeah, and we didn't even get into customizing targeting audiences. You can say what people like on Facebook in general and target people who like those things. And I'm thinking like investing groups on Facebook. If someone's part of an investing group and you have an investing ad, you can target that type of person.
Well, I'm down on the south coast of Rhode Island, so I target my people from Boston and New York because they're all escaping the city.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can do that. You can do that very easily. And Facebook's going to tell you to spend $30 over 10 days. No, you want to spend $20 over like 4 or 5 days.
Yep.
Put the listing out. Put it out. I find Thursday is the best day to go. And then just take it from there.
Yeah, beautiful. I love it. Thank you, Steve. All right, so let's kick back to where we were here. And I know we're not going to get through everything today, but let's get through what we can for the rest of the session. And so I'm going to let you guys, for the last 15 minutes, do our final exercise, but let's do some recaps and ahas about today in our final 15 minutes. So what did you learn? What's something you can put into practice? And give us your ahas. We didn't teach very well.
If you had to take one thing away, come on, guys. If you had to take one thing that you learned today, what would it be?
Using command as your advertising tool.
That was a big one for me.
I love that. Vanessa says she has to get going. Thank you, guys. Oh, thank you. I thought you meant you have to get going with command, but if you have to get going, have a great day.
Either way, thank you.
All right.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for sharing that, Linda. What else we got? Who else learned something?
Value proposition.
Value prop.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, getting very
deep into
what does your value prop actually mean and how do we deliver that message, I think is something to take away from today, most definitely.
Yeah, and double down. Go 3 questions deep at least on your value proposition.
Anyone we haven't heard from today that wants to share?
Anyone have any questions that they didn't get answered yet?
No?
Okay.
All right. So one of the final activities, and I think we can just go through, if you want to just go through the last final things of what we would have covered in our final 15 minutes. Making the social media post and making paid ads. We went through those quickly, but actually practicing those, I think you can definitely start with the social post at minimum if you aren't in a position to be doing ad spend on your business. But like we said, you don't have to put a ton of money into it. You can try and test that out and get out your message and start advertising things at a very low cost with command.
Or no cost even, right? Because you can post stuff right to your page from here, from your from command without actually putting a number to it.
Yeah, and just doing social post to post to paid ads. Correct. Yep. All right. How has our thinking changed? What ideas or mindsets were new? Anyone have a new mindset after today? Something they're going to act on?
I'm going to dive deeper into the campaigns and how they connect with the smart plans. I think that stuff is brilliant.
Yeah, perfect. And one thing to note on that too with smart plans is don't think you have to reinvent yourself on any of this. There's enough in the library for you to go find something and tweak it to yourself. So don't spend a whole lot of time of planning. Take action, take someone else's ideas and run with that and see if that works first.
And really lean on your tech trainers.
Anthony does classes, he just has open classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can go and ask him about anything.
Yeah, and get in touch with your market center tech trainer as well to see if they have open time where
Yeah.
they're like, can you sit down, just show me this for a few minutes? I'm sure they'd be more than willing to help.
And it's a tool that's underutilized, I think. I know I underutilize it, and I'm using it more now than I ever have. So I'm still underutilizing it. I'm going to get better at it, though. That's my big aha for today, Anthony.
Good. We're going to be hanging out more as your big aha.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly.
Awesome.
Good thing I like you.
Yeah. What do we feel different? Sorry.
I was going to say a couple of people had put comments in previously, asking, is there a technical trainer, at this market center or that market center? Check with your broker. If you don't have if he or she doesn't have a technical trainer in his office, and I'm going to slip my throat for saying this, but send me an email. I'll post my email in the chat. I can.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Nope. Go on. You volunteered first.
No, I was just going to say the other thing is, if your market center for some reason doesn't have a tech trainer, maybe they're looking for one. Think about that. And the other thing is, we do have regional help as well. So if you really don't have a tech trainer, go regional and see if they can't help you out.
Yeah, and there's a lot of resources regionally that they do growth calls on Mondays. We have tech classes on Thursdays at 1. There are enough resources that we can get to you through our region that will help you out enough, and all the online training as well. Like one thing for KW is there's no shortage of resources for us. It's just someone pointing you in the right direction for what you need sometimes of where do you get it.
Yeah, if you go out to the Keller Williams New England YouTube channel, there are a ton of videos on there.
Oh yeah.
And then I saw someone mention Marty Miller earlier. Marty Miller's got some great stuff out there. He chunks it down into little pieces, so there's 66 different things. And he just gives you, a walkthrough video on how to do each and every piece of the full command platform.
Yeah, and they're easy for the layperson to understand. And they're short enough so that you actually don't get overwhelmed.
Yes.
Perfect. All right.
So what do you guys feel differently about today? What was meaningful to you today?
I think it was mentioned before, there's a lot more tools at our disposal that we need to come up to speed with and utilize.
Awesome. That's a huge thing to feel differently about.
Yeah.
Having actual access to something that's going to help you. Yep.
Also, the importance of setting yourself apart from the pack.
Exactly. Good point.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that.
Also doing things consistently.
Yeah,
Great.
That's huge.
Yep. And repetitively. So making your ads look repetitive, but they might be about a different property, but people start to recognize the way you advertise and all of that. So that's all important as far as brand building goes.
Love that. Those are great ahas.
So how will your behaviors be different going forward? What actions will you take going forward?
I liked how you tied the value proposition into marketing.
Yeah.
Because that I thought it was great for Annie to ask us to slow down and really work on that, because once I did it and then we went into the marketing piece, it was like light bulbs going off.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Much more meaningful. Yep.
Yes, that's great. Thank you.
Quick note to everyone, I just posted both the Facebook group and the YouTube channel for more information on these trainings.
Oh, that's great.
They're in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And I think for a lot of the newer people, especially if you're maybe not new to real estate, but you're new to KW and you're new to learning our systems, even just the behavior to change would be you're going to spend 5 minutes watching a Marty Miller video each day because he has those quick tips, or maybe you're going to go to the Monday 2 o'clock growth calls and adding that small little half-hour window of time each week.
Yeah.
That's a behavior change that could really help you a lot because you're learning things in small chunks, but they're action items. They're things to now go do. I would implore a lot of you to go do that. Just make one little quick change to your week. That is not a lot of, you're not giving up a whole lot. It's a small amount of time to give up, and it's for a lot of good.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so tools, models, and systems we'll definitely use. It sounds like people are going to be using the campaigns in posting, in
I hope
designs.
so.
How will they make you accountable is a big question. How are we going to factor accountability into this? That can be a tough question.
Set goals for yourself.
Set goals for yourself.
Yes.
Definitely one.
How about time blocking? So can you guys imagine yourselves just time blocking 15 minutes for technology every day or twice a week or whatever the case may be as far as your schedule allows? And if you were to just sit down and say, watch a Marty Miller video and then go and put it into play for 15 minutes a couple times a week, that's all about time blocking. So put it on your calendar, because like they say, if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. If there's something you want to accomplish and learn, put it in your calendar and be consistent about it.
And I think one of the biggest things possibly, it depends on who you are, but having a partner to do that with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of having, and it could be something very small.
Yeah.
Of just asking someone to hold you accountable as well, because I don't hold myself accountable very well with a lot of things. It's more difficult to do it on your own.
It is.
And you give yourself a pass.
And it's more fun to do it with someone else.
Exactly.
And now that we have Zoom, I love to do Zoom meetings just for those little items. You could watch the video together and then go practice. So go set it up on your command and, have each other in the background working at it.
Right.
I think we're pretty well done. Just remember, can you go back to that one?
The 10-4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, guys, I do love the 10-4 because it's another thing about time blocking, right? We teach you in Ignite to do the 10-4, but what if you're not able to do 10-4? Pick a number. Pick, where do you want to be a year from now? Do you need to make 10 contacts every day that you're working? Or do you want to make 5, or do you want to make 20? So whatever that is, use this 10-4 as a guide. I don't care if it's 5-4. I don't care if it's 2-4. I don't care if it's 54. That would be great. But set it in, put it in your time blocking again, and make sure that it's in your schedule to do systematically and consistently.
And if you're really stubborn, put a big note on top of your bathroom mirror. I will do my 10-4 today, so that you see it every single morning.
Yeah. So we hope we helped you today, and we hope you got some good stuff out of the meeting today, the session today. And let us know if you need anything. You have anything you want to talk to them about?
No parting words. No
parting words.
I think everyone was great today.
Everyone's great. And thanks for all of your interaction, because we can't really do this well without you guys interacting with us. And you guys were great today. So I really, really want you to know how much we appreciate that. And hope that you have great, successful careers ahead of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.